as long as I need to. One day I might figure out how to like to not breathe anymore, but it's all good. Then we have my brother here, Charles, representing SA, South Africa. Represent. What is up? What's going on, bro? He is a technically like a retired professional athlete, right? So you spent like years in it in the field and everything else. Everyone loved Charles so much that they want to have him back. So it's awesome to have to such a loving audience who has so much fun that we're like, hey, let's do this again. So Charles is back.
Round one, ding ding, Mikey.
Let's go.
Self mastery versus self sabotage. What is your take on that?
Man, that's very beautiful. So, first off, I always refrain from words that will be a limiter. So I only give words to myself or speak to myself or focus on certain terms and sequencing of structuring sentences, like the syntax and everything else, on what's going to expand me to the next level. Usually, mastery. Once a person comes into mastery, it's a closed door. It's the end of it. You have the temptation or the possibility of not growing beyond that. So some people want to achieve mastery, and in that quest of, they actually blind themselves from something that's greater than what they could have perceived. So I don't ever use the word mastery ever. So like, you never really see me. I might have used it before somewhere in life, but at least in the recent years, I don't use the word mastery. I don't believe that I don't believe we should even master ourselves. If anything, I believe that we should completely fuse with ourselves and almost become unconscious. And that's how we move throughout reality. And through that, we have a lot of energy to expand into the realm of. So we get to have the effect in reality, the highest effect, the highest, greatest success, body, everything. And it doesn't cost as much energy to obtain that versus mastery. You're disciplined, you're working hard, you're striving, you're sweating, you're dumping all this energy. You have the possibility of being tired or having burnout. When you approach it this way of like self-fusing almost, or like self-flowing, you have so much energy. Like you were saying last time, you got to choose to go to bed. Like you have so much energy, you don't pass out, you're not tired, you're just like, all right, I should probably just go to sleep now. Like, because you're like, you have so much energy, you have to just say like, and decide, I'm gonna go to sleep. It's all cool, but you have so much energy left over. Now, the second part of your question is self-sabotage. I I see that's one of the primary functions of why people are bitter or dismantled or ineffective in life. I see that as why people are sick. Like that's the most gigantic reason of why people are, in a sense, suffering nowadays. I don't believe it's because of ego or hate or whatever, but self-sabotage is simply a person getting in their own way from the success that they could obtain or the satisfaction or desire or whatever. So with all that being stated, a person self-sabotage when they don't know themselves because it's a defense mechanism. The person will feel more comfortable staying where they are because they don't know their own attributes or capabilities. When a person doesn't know their capabilities, they're going to sabotage themselves and say, hey, no, this is better for me. This is safer. Let's go over here, because a person only goes to the extent of what they believe is best. So when a person doesn't know their full abilities and capabilities, they won't even try. And if they had the ambition to try, a lot of times they could self-sabotage because they perceive within themselves that this would be safer or a more logical direction to go in or investment of their life versus going and taking the risk. Now, that's okay, because self-sabotage isn't even bad. Again, it's a defense mechanism. It's actually saving you and protecting you, but it's usually out of ignorance. So with the ignorance, the person will put these blockades against themselves that limit themselves into the position that they've always been in. But if you stay in the position you've been in, there's no plateau. You always have to go up or down. You have to ascend or descend. You have to be growing, expanding, or shrinking and contracting. There is no plateau in life. Like time does not stand still. Like we are always moving, and either or is always happening. So when a person is unaware or ignorant of who they are, these defense mechanisms will come up that will block them from expanding, and it will lead them into contraction. That contraction is where aging comes from, atrophy, sickness, and all these other things. But once a person comes into the knowledge of themselves, who they are, what they're capable of, what they can do, now you're not even trying not to self-sabotage or anything like that. You're not even trying to get out of self-sabotage and all this other stuff. You have so much understanding of what you are that it's almost like by default, of course I could do that. Like, yeah. Like if I said, hey, I have a cup here, could you please go fill this cup full of water? There wouldn't even be a doubt in your mind that you can do that. But if you didn't know where the water source was, you might think to yourself, well, I've never been here before. Where's the water? I don't know where the kitchen is. And all these doubts come up. Those doubts are just showing you what you don't know. They're not bad. They're not even evil, or you need to get rid of doubt or anything like that. They're the very evidence of the parts of you that you don't know yet. But the moment that you shine light on it, or it becomes illuminated and you become familiar, or understanding or aware of these specific traits within inside of you, now nothing's impossible. So whenever you go that route and you just learn yourself, doubt fades away, doubt disappears. Self-sabotage just quits happening because you have so much overwhelming ability and understanding of what you are. Of course you're going to be successful, and you'd never stand in your own way at that point. So self-mastery into self-fusing, self-sabotaging is just the evidence that you don't know enough about yourself yet. So time to learn.
I love that, Mikey, and I love how you explain that self mastery can even be a limitation. That concept to master oneself means I've reached a point, and then there's nothing beyond that. So self fusion that leads to constant expansion versus self mastery, excellent. And then in terms of self sabotage, you explained it so beautifully. When you start to know yourself, you stop sabotaging yourself. So, for the audience, how does someone who is, let's say, drinking, smoking, doing anything that is actually dissolving or killing them, right? How do you use that to come into greater knowledge of self so that you can grow through that?
Man, these are these are great questions. Oh, okay. So if a person is smoking, drinking, whatever, right? Staying up late, as a male, just like looking at corn and constantly expelling their seed and stuff like that. None of it's bad, right? Smoking is not bad. Drinking is not bad. There is no such thing as good and bad, because when the moment you say that this is good and this is bad, you disassociate yourself with what it actually is. That smoking is just you. The drinking is you, because you moved your life and your energy, or whoever it is, they move their life, their energy towards that bottle, towards that cigarette, towards that whatever, the vape or whatever. So it's simply the confirmation of the person that they're embodying at the current state, at the current moment. So when a person, is feeling maybe guilty about it, oh, I know I shouldn't drink. What they do is they actually blind themselves to that part of them, and that's the ignorance that keeps them addicted, or going back to it, or relapsing, or whatever. But the moment that you see, no, this is actually me, and I see how all cords tie me to this thing, it leads to a greater, deeper position of what the person is, or who the person is. So the person who drink, they don't drink because they're actually addicted to alcohol. They drink because they may not believe in themselves, because going back, they may not understand the attributes of what they obtained, of what they have inside of themselves. The person who smokes, they may have some sort of unawareness of the fullness that they are, so they supplement with the feeling of the cigarette or whatever. But when you know who you are, you can dump your own oxytocin just by meditation. You can boost your own ability and your effectiveness in reality by playing it in your head about how it's about to go, right? You may not be able to predict 100% of what's about to happen. Maybe like for you, when you were in the ring and everything else about the fight, you may have played it back, like all your moves, all your combos and stuff like that, which gave you more confidence to move forward in life. Well, it's the same thing with these people. The drinking and the smoking isn't bad. It's just a placeholder to try to get the person's attention, to show them what's behind it, which is maybe childhood trauma, maybe lack of belief, or the self-sabotage, like we were talking about earlier. The moment you understand you are the cigarette, you are the liquor, you are the vape, or whatever it is, you occupy, or you approach that position, you step into it, and then you see the position beyond it, that's actually you, that's fueling that activity to even happen in the first place. And the moment you have that, people lose all addictions, they lose junk food cravings, they lose the inability to even believe in themselves. They start believing in themselves more, and then all of a sudden all those things dissipate, so they don't smoke anymore, they don't want to smoke anymore. A lot of people, when they get on the guide and they do phase meditations, they just stop eating junk food. I had to tell them junk food's bad. You shouldn't do that. Blah, 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 blah. I'd have to like preach at them, or like, oh, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? Or anything like that. I even have to love them through it. Like, oh, it's okay. You'll get strong enough one day and get off of junk food and get off the cravings or whatever. They see why the cravings are even there, because the craving is them craving them. And they see in what way they've been craving themselves. And now they don't have to supplement with the cigarette or the junk food or whatever, and they grow in life. The moment they acknowledge this, it imparts with them, and they expand and they grow as a person. They get stronger, bigger, better in every single way, and they onboard and install a new part of them, and they become a new type of human.
We only crave ourselves. How beautiful is that? That's incredible.
Yeah, the real craving.
Boom. Knockout. Gah! Let's have a little sparring round with seriousness versus playfulness.
Ah, man. The main thing is this: serious makes you stiff, while playfulness makes you like putty. So so you can move. So you do need an integration of both. So if you're just too playful, like your life is messy. But if you're just too serious, your life becomes brittle, and it can
Yeah.
break easy. You have to be like the bamboo, which is, I guess, a perfect segment. My neighbor yesterday made me a bow and arrow made out of bamboo. So this is it. And as you can see here, it bends very well and it's very strong. Like this bow and arrow is so strong. I was able to shoot a tree with one of my arrows and lodge it inside. So we have to be flexible in a sense, like flexible enough to be able to hold tension without breaking. And you do that by being playful. So like the playfulness actually it allows you to not break or be burdened under the situation that happens, because we all come into moments in our life that are possibly heavy. And I'm not saying, crack a joke at a funeral. I'm not saying go out there and just laugh in somebody's face, or do something ignorant to other people. But there's a specific gauge and a spectrum. Okay, I'm going to go into everything, right? There's a
Mm.
specific spectrum, like almost like a volume knob. You have 0 to 100, right? And you can increase the volume and decrease the volume. And it's the same thing with everything in life. So there's a specific level of seriousness to be in certain situations. There's a certain level of playfulness to be in situations. So in every situation, there is a gauge for seriousness and there is a gauge for playfulness. So every situation needs playfulness. It may only be 1%, but nonetheless, you need to have it there. If you live too much of your life serious, right? So we see CEOs and very successful people, their life looks very bitter, and that bitterness shows. It's stained on their face. They're very, think of like Scrooge from the Christmas Story and stuff like that. It's stained, and it makes these deep ruts in people's lives. And whenever you stay playful, like, you get to keep the youth of life, which is almost like the pixie or the imp, or like Peter Pan, and like all these playful entities and beings and stuff. They get to keep their youth, and they're vibrant throughout reality. So the very expression on your face is showing you what state and what gauge and what equilibrium and balance that you're occupying in your sustainability in reality. When your face is too stern or you're too bitter, you get wrinkles, you get grays, because your life force is being sapped from you. So the face is the first indicator. Well, a person may ask, well, Mikey, I don't know if I'm doing too much or too little. What if I don't know what this sign means, or this line here, or this wrinkle, or this gray, or whatever? It doesn't matter in the beginning. The first thing is just to even understand that your face is the ultimate indicator. Your face will tell you way before you ever need surgery. Your face will tell you way before you ever get sick. Your face will tell you way before the relationship ever breaks up or whatever. Like, this is almost like I honestly believe the mirror was the greatest invention in all of existence, because it gives you a direct access to see what you've been living in the past day, week, month, and year, the past decade. So whenever we come to the mirror, we can start to gauge and become familiar with the expression and what it means. And then we can start to dial back or dial in more. We can start to pull back in some of the seriousness, or go deeper, because sometimes things need seriousness.
Yep.
But with that being stated, when you stay in playfulness, now we're going to a different topic, or a different part of it, component. When you stay in playfulness, it actually gives you more energy. So the more playful you are, you can actually live off that energy. You don't have an energy problem. Like, after you've been in the guide, you've been eating A through zinc and everything else, removing toxins, you no longer have an energy problem. You will have unlimited energy, pretty much unlimitedly. Like, you will just have a bunch of energy. Now, how that energy is expressed outward into reality will gauge on if you're reciprocating energy back or giving it in vain. So now, when
Mm.
you're in a position of understanding all this stuff and how your energy is given and affected, when you put out or emit energy in playfulness, you kind of hype yourself up. So the more playful I get, the more energy I actually get back from it, and you feed on your own energy. And this is why a lot of people, ask me, like, well, if you haven't eaten in so many days, where are you getting energy from? And one of my answers is from everything. Everything's giving me energy, even the conversation itself. I can hype
Yeah.
myself up off my own energy. Now it costs energy to do that, but you get a little bit more back than you're putting out. So you build up this charge, and all of life is either a charge or a discharge. And whenever people understand this, they can understand how to kind of ride on the waves of immortality. Well, you do that by being playful because you don't discharge too much energy. You get energy back, and it gives you a wider scope of what you can do. But seriousness usually blocks you in the corner. It puts your back against the wall, and you have less variety and less options. So it's crucial. It's vital for a person's success financially, energetically, and everything else to stay in a loose, free mode. Still have structure to your life. Still know where you're going. Still, have your directives and everything like that, and your prerogative. But nonetheless, when you approach all of life and everything, like start sprinkling playfulness in there, and it gives you a vast array of different options that you can choose from. So now you're not just choosing from A or B, but now you have the whole alphabet, the whole numerical system, and even colors. You can start choosing in different dimensions, and then it composites your life, and it makes something that you could have never created in seriousness, or that you weren't even aware of in the first place. So it gives you an experience into a whole new world.
That's incredible. You went quite deep there on playfulness and how this how seriousness is not necessarily a bad thing, but when we lose the playfulness in it, we become rigid, and rigid is basically a prequel to the word rigor mortis, so it leads to death because it sucks our energy.
Yeah,
Next
totally.
question is about self-control. I've heard you speak about self-control as inefficient because it requires energy and discipline and a lot of focus, where self-trust is actually the antidote to needing self-control. Can you explain that?
Dude, 100%. Let's go. I love that. Woo! All right, you said it perfectly. So self-control is actually just self-manipulation. If you're trying to control something, it means you're trying to manipulate it. So when you don't know yourself, the only thing you can try to do is control yourself because you don't trust yourself. Well, a person doesn't trust themselves because, again, they don't know themselves. But the moment you have full coherence of who you are, what you are, you're not going to do bad intentions. You're not going to do bad things. So you're more willingful and free to allow yourself to do whatever it is you need to do or be expressed in reality. Whenever you do that, you do it automatically. You do it because it's who you are. I never, get prepared for these lives or these interviews and like try to get a script, or, a lot of people ask me like, hey, who's your biggest inspiration, stuff like that. I never try to glean from something before I go into any of these, because I want to be my 100% authentic self, because I know myself. That's what the world actually wants in the first place. And because I know myself, I allow myself. And instead of trying to control myself, I just allow, because I know my intentions are pure. Because every ill will, ill intention that was bred out of jealousy or hate or whatever, I got to the root of it and I resolved it, because I understood, for one, jealousy, hate, envy, anger, strife, all this other stuff is not going to benefit my life at all in any way. And if I ever did somehow see a glimpse of success through any of those narratives or pathways, then it's also going to eat away at my soul in the process. Yeah, you might get a financial dollar from it, but you're going to lose your soul in the process. So resolving those things within me, now all I want to do is be authentic and love and have a bunch of energy and smile and put out pleasure and euphoria out into this realm. So now I'll let myself go as far as I'll go. And usually I can do that in the Discord, but even on places like this on social media, the only limit that I actually experience are the community guidelines and words and terms I can or cannot say, because I know myself that deeply. And I almost come into this hypnotic state to where it's not even me speaking. I'm not trying to speak. Mikey's not trying to say something or just answer the question of Charles, but it's tapping in and it's living from this hypnotic state of my own consciousness, because I fused into one. And then it says unlimited sources of energy, unlimited sources of content, unlimited sources of elation and emotions and feeling good and everything else. But if I'm trying to control myself, I'm actually putting a binder on me. I'm trying to bridle my tongue. I'm trying to hold myself back. And in that, I'm fighting myself. So part of my energy is going into something of what I'm trying to control, and the other part of me is putting energy into trying to control that thing. So I'm actually working against myself, and I'm depleting myself on two different in two different realms. So there's part of me that's trying to drive, while there's other part of me trying to hit the brake, and then I end up depleting myself and furthering the chasm of knowing and trusting myself. Now I don't trust myself more, because when I try to control myself, I broke loose because I didn't know myself, and I didn't even know if that was good or not. So therefore, I'm trying to control myself even more. So it's a self-perpetuating cycle that when a person tries to live in self-control, they only end up further in it. You don't solve the problem by operating in the problem. You solve the problem by operating outside of what the problem's even in, and you become a whole new creature, a whole new life. And in that life, you get to save a bunch of energy, which is all this is about. It's all about energy. That's why people want spouses and mates and food, and they sleep and they go on vacations because they want energy. That's why they work to get money, which is a type of frozen energy or currency, so they can go and buy food and shelter to preserve. It's all about energy. So if a person ever delves into self-control and they understand what I'm saying, they actually have the correct interpretation of what I'm actually saying. They see that self-control is actually depleting. It's manipulating, and it's only the proof the person doesn't know themselves. So when a person operates in that type of manner, they end up losing their energy so much to where they're drained from it. The discipline takes, the self-control takes. So they can see, well, that's true. That's very evident that if I live in discipline, I'm always resisting, I'm burning the candle at both ends. So you have to live a completely different life. You got to live outside of self-control. Stop trying to control yourself and know yourself. Once you know yourself, you flow with yourself. Once you flow with yourself, you flow into eternity. And that makes it easy. There's no more discipline. There's no more willpower. There's no more force. You get to save all the energy you would have given to that. And now you get to go into higher expansions of consciousness. Now you start seeing a different reality right here in front of you, while other people are still behind, or they're imprisoned, or they don't even know they don't even know that this is an energy realm, or they're saying spiritual things, but they still get nowhere. They're still broke. They're still suffering. They're still in bad positions, when really you just make the shift and now you're in a whole new life instantly, and you have success by default. It's the very energy that you occupy, but you can only occupy it if you have the energy, and you never have the energy if you're fighting yourself. So it's a dangerous trap. Self-control is.
You said so many things that I want to dive into, but let me just get into this, Mikey. So you mentioned being in a scenario. So let me use an example. Someone comes into the guide, right? They come into this lifestyle where after, let's say, 20 years, they've lived in depletion, right? So in that 20 years of depletion, they have formed patterns, right? That leads to, let's say, financial struggle, right? Now this person through the guide comes into so much energy, but they're still occupying the state of, let's say, financial struggle. How does one get out of trying to control that situation into trusting themselves, coming into agreement with themselves, so that they can occupy a completely different reality, as you mentioned?
So that person, if they're struggling with anything, it doesn't matter if it's relationships, money, health, whatever, it's all the indicator of the paradigm or the mantle or the office that they've been occupying and engaging in. So it's the very confirmation of where they are and the choices that they've made. So a lot of people will resist and say, no, I want to be successful. So they'll try and they'll force and start to head over here. The way to do, like, the question or fulfill what you just asked, is to actually embrace everything that they're experiencing, see it as themselves, and go to the origination point of was this even inspired by. When you resolve it on that level, you no longer have to try to be successful or wealthy or anything. You just automatically resolve that. That's out of the way, and space has to be filled. There are no voids in reality. There is no thing. Nothing doesn't exist. There's always something. Even in the empty cup, there's still air. Even in the vacuum of space, or whatever people want to say, there's still matter. There's still particles. Like there is no such thing as nothing. So even if you get a vacuum, right, you can take a vacuum and pull all the air out of a vacuum chamber. There's still matter in there. There's still the makeup of the very container itself. So all of space is always filled. So whenever you remove these things by actualizing your reality, going to the origination point, seeing yourself in it and resolving it, when it's resolved, it dissolves. So whatever is resolved dissolves, and it leaves space for the next energy to come in, which is going to show you. Usually the next energy is always life-giving. Life begets life. This is why I say choose life. Out of everything that you do, start choosing life, and these things will automatically happen for you. So whenever you come into the position of where you choose life, you will get more success. You will get more success in the opposite sex or partners or whatever. You'll get success in financially, in reality, with your body and everything else. This is why I tell people that the guide is more than just losing 5 pounds. It's more than a fast. That's why, to me, fasting is so stupid. Like, this has nothing to do with fasting. It's all about coming to the component or the composition of what reality actually is and acknowledging it, and then changing the sequence of it, because you're just filling space. So whatever you're seeing in your life that's been the negative, right? The person is struggling, or they're in deep states of poverty or whatever. Those things are only being experienced because those are the cubits that are there. That's the occupation of that space by the energy or the mindset that they've occupied or embraced. Once you dissolve those things, space has to be filled. That's out. New comes in, and that new will be a certain level. You may not be a billionaire overnight, or maybe even like a millionaire or something like that, but you come into the position to where you're better off than you were yesterday. And whenever you do this day by day, you look back and you now have love, you now have wealth. And it was really by default, because you removed the very origination source of what was holding you back. By the acknowledgement of it, it dissolves. So something has to fill that space. And if you're doing this in an aware manner, it's always going to be something better than what was just dissolved. So if you had $1 in your bank today and you do this, you might have $100 tomorrow. Or if you have, I don't know, $1,000 today, and you're like, man, I really want to save up money or wealth or whatever, you might come to the point where you have, 10,000 the next day. And it's all by moving that. It's not by, one of my favorite verses in the Bible is this: it's not by power nor by might, but by the Spirit, says the Lord. This is in Zechariah. Again, I'm not Christian, but I'm saying the Bible has some very powerful things in there, especially about metaphysics and stuff like that. So it's not by force or trying, like, I'm going to grit my teeth and get money or get a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever. That does work. Yeah, there are times that will work, but it's always at a cost. Ignorance is always going to pay for things the highest price. So whenever you're ignorant of something, no matter what it is, you're always going to pay the most. But whenever you're knowledgeable and you understand, sometimes things are given as gifts. You know how to position yourself. Like if you own a business, you can through your business lease a car from a company, or even from yourself. You can even buy a car in another one of your own businesses, and then in your primary business, rent that car to yourself, and it's a write-off both ways. It's a write-off. It's a taxable expense, or in a sense, like, you can write off because your business owns it and you rent it to yourself. Well, in the same way, in the grand scheme of all reality, when you understand what this actually is and the acknowledgement of every building block and component of what you're experiencing, you see that what's holding you back, the block, it's just a block. And that block is just filling space. Is what a block is. It's usually a cube. That cube is just filling space, and that is a cube of poverty. I'm not trying to, be esoteric with this or something like that, but ultimately, it's to a point where when you see it in the quadrants of how all these things are expressed, you see it as like, that is literally a block, like a Lego. So if you have all these Legos built up and they're all red, right? Because Legos are like pretty much all colors. You have a full red tower, but there's one green block at the bottom. That green block is very obvious to you. Well, that green block is holding up the tower, but also it's giving the result of why the tower is leaning the way it's leaning. In the same way, when you start seeing these things as blocks, it's a poverty block, not just a blocker like a barrier blocking you, but a literal block that you've composed and built your life upon by your beliefs and everything else. You can see it as that. Resolve it. It dissolves. The moment that's moved out, something always comes in. And I love to say the example of pouring in a cup. And I might even give the example of, hey, Sasha, could you hand me that cup and that juice right there? Cool. And I'm gonna have you hold the mic, okay? No, just this one's good. It's right here. This is the perfect one because it's a bottleneck. Here, hold this. And the perfect example is this. When I pour out all the juice that's in here, you're going to see air bubbles come up. So whenever I have this thing upside down, right, like this, and I open this, air is going to come into it as I pour in this cup. And the funny thing is, the cup looks empty, right? But as I pour the juice in here, the air is pushed out. This is why if you've ever been to a waterfall or anything like that, or some sort of heavy stream or heavy force or heavy flow, there's always wind that occurs with the movement of fluid. So fluid actually creates wind in the same manner. So even though I'm pouring the juice into the cup, air is going into the bottle while juice is going into the cup, but air is moving out of the cup, which creates dynamics. In the same way, when you resolve these blocks inside of you, it creates an attraction in the pool for it to be filled. Now, a lot of blocks can be made in unawareness. You're just unaware of who you are, what you are, and everything else. But the moment you do this from a position of awareness, you can govern or dictate or decide what's going to be filled in next. And you could put a block of success there in a sense. Now, it's not a actual literal block. Okay, I'm standing on the block of success, but you resolved what was holding you back and something else is going to fulfill it. Now, you keep doing this to higher states and higher degree over and over again until you come into a supremacy in your life. Now your life is so autonomous in every single way that success is imminent. It's just who you are because there's no blocks of anything else besides that. This is why the athlete that dedicates their life completely to their sport becomes a 0.001% of everything. Is because they've dedicated all their blocks. They put all their chips in this. And because of that, that's what they're composed of. So how could they be anything else but successful? How could they be anything else but that athlete? So in the same way, when we can come to the conscious enough point to observe these blocks, we can resolve them, dissolve them, fill them with that. And that becomes the components of who we are and what we experience.
Yeah, Mikey, sure. That was amazing. I got kicked off for a second there. So
it's all good. Yeah, this will be posted on the YouTube page. So if you guys ever want to go back and watch it again, we'll be up there.
Yeah, amazing.
Mikey,
thank you. Me too. Boom, boom. What is the purpose of life, and how do we measure our purpose versus pleasure?
That's very beautiful. Oh my gosh, Charles, you're bringing them in today, man. Well, the purpose of life is to live. That's why we're here. Like the most imminent thing of life itself is to live life. Like that's it. Like everything else is a side quest. Everything else is secondary. Like because if you're not alive, you ain't doing anything. So the purpose of life is to live. So what does that look like? Life is energy, regeneration, and consciousness. So that's the purpose, right? And now in life, everything is actually pleasurable because pleasure is just an interpretation. Because some people love their neck to be kissed and like, oh my God, it makes them, aroused and stuff like that. While other people, it's a complete turnoff. You kiss their neck, they're like, wow, it tickles too much, and and all this other stuff. So it's an interpretation of the energy. So when you understand that pleasure is simply an interpretation, you can draw pleasure or euphoria from anything. It comes to a point where you have so much energetic abundance that you have your ability to reframe or put an interpretation on anything in reality, and you get to extract what you want. You transmute it not even out, but in. So as the energy is coming in, you can transmute it as it comes in. Most people talk about transmutation, they're talking about putting it out. But you can also transmute into you. So then pleasure is not even a sin or something to watch out for or a trap. It's the very nature of your own awareness. When you become this aware, you understand pleasure is what I make of it. So it's completely within my dominion and control. It's not something to be fearful of, to watch out for. It's something I'm turning everything into. I'm making this conversation pleasurable. I'm making my experience with my partners pleasurable. I'm making my experience in this country pleasurable. And I understand that. So everywhere I go, I'm going to experience pleasure, not because it's a novelty of life that happens and it comes and it goes and this and that, because it's in my very ability and almost in my purpose to create pleasure and euphoria everywhere I go. I've been on some podcasts and stuff like that where we had very tense situations or conversations with people, and I always turn them into something of benefit, a benefactor, or good, or pleasurable, of lightheartedness. I start being playful with it because some people are very serious about their diet, and me, I'm very open about what I eat. I don't have a diet. I'm not on a specific plan. I eat animals and plants and this, and I'm not a carnivore. So sorry guys, I'm not a vegan. Sorry guys, I don't fast. Sorry guys. So some people might they may not have a good enough understanding of their own energy, so they start investing their energy in offense against themselves. They build a defense up and a defense. You can see them start to cross their arms. They build a fence of offense up. So I turn that and I de-escalate it by making it pleasurable, because it's my duty and my right and my ability to transmute anything into anything else. So pleasure is not something that it's just by and by, like, oh, let me give into pleasure. Pleasure is it's my confirmation of how creative I'm being. So in life, we have all this energy to be a creator, or like the creator, or whatever you want to say. Well, then it's our duty to turn everything into something good. In the beginning, God made the heavens and the earth, and day one, this is good. Day two, this is good. Day three, this is good. All the way to day six, He looked and said, "This is good." Well, everything in your life should come in, no matter how tragic or terrible, whatever. You take that, and some requires more effort than others, but 99% of it's like super easy, and you transmute it into something good. And now it's on you to say, huh. And at the end of the day, this is good. Not because you're quoting this to yourself or trying to say it, but because you literally turned that situation into something better, making coal into diamonds, and so on and so forth. Diamonds into jewelry, jewelry into wearables, wearables into gifts. And now you're giving the treasures to the world through your presence.
So it's like that scripture, be transformed by the renewal of your mind, is understanding the power to give anything the meaning so that you can derive the most life-giving experience from all scenarios. Ooh, that's
Exactly. Yeah.
powerful.
And
That's
that's why you're
powerful. So
here. So like
yeah.
your life should be transmuting everything around you. So whenever people come around you, so like I've said this a lot, and this is like this is not a flex or anything like that, but like I have girls come out to fly on their own dime. I don't pay for people, so I'm not that type of dude. And they'll come out and see me. And when they first get here, there's so much peace here. Like the first 3 days, every night they'll sleep for like 13 to 15 hours sometimes. Like there's so much peace in the air. Like it's so thick with peace and love and harmony that a lot of them finally get sleep like they've never had before. They didn't even know they could sleep like this because they've never felt this type of atmosphere. Because a lot of people did not grow up in houses of love. And for me, like even though like I grew up with no parents and no brothers and no sisters, and I was alone, it's so foreign to me not to grow up in a house of love, because I guess I've been in this life for so long. But when they come here, every single one's the same. And I've had multiple dozens, tens of, on up come out and like hang out with me and stuff like that. And they said like, hey, I didn't grow up with this. I've never been exposed to this. I didn't even know life could be this good. I didn't know it could feel, I didn't even know this experience was on the menu. I didn't even know this energy was out there. So it's a testimony even to what's been created here, that everything in my life, I'm embracing it, and I'm looking at it to make it into something that is of heaven, that is of higher places, that is of elations, utopia. The house I'm in, the vibe I'm in, the body I'm in, not just my body physically, but my body and what I emit whenever I go out and I hang out with people. Can they feel my energy? Like I had my neighbor come over yesterday who made the bow and everything else, and he brought his family over. So it was him and like four other people, and they came over and we played and we laughed and we made up new games and we were dancing and we were literally having so much fun until they passed out. They just had to sit down, like, oh my God, like you could see in their face it was constant fun the entire time. Well, it's my duty as an energetic being in reality to see one thing and turn it good. I'm not going to whine. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to just try to bring awareness to a matter like, oh my God, this and that. I'm actually going to take that matter, that situation, and convert it and turn it, because I understand what I am. When I understand what I am through the awareness and everything else that we said, now I can confidently take one matter, no matter what it is. I can take a matter, no matter what it is, and turn it into something else. And that's why I'm here. That's when I start living life. The purpose is to live. Well, what is life? Life is taking one thing and turning into another. That's what eating is. That's what drinking is. That's what sleeping is. That's what talking is. I'm breathing in oxygen and I'm turning it into sound waves. I'm taking in light and I'm turning it into hormones. When my, melanin and everything else, my skin gets dark and everything else. I'm taking everything from this reality, I'm absorbing it in, and I'm turning it into something else. This is why fasting's a farce. It's dumb, because it's literally not taking anything. No, I want to be solidarity. I'm sorry. I'm going to go into solidarity, be nothing, and all this other stuff, and disassociate myself with everything. No, 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 and like dissolve into nothing. When really the whole purpose of life is to take in everything and then churn it and convert it into something greater. And when you do that, you're a true creator here in this realm, and that's what I see the purpose of life to be.
Yeah. So, Mikey, on that, in terms of, we take everything into our body that we're surrounded with, right? Everything we see, everything we hear, everything we feel, everything we're exposed to. how does being conscious of your environment allow you to interpret it and get a greater effect from it? So let's use me example. I'm in the sun, right? Everyone can be in the sun. Would you say when you have a higher level of consciousness and interpretation and intention, you can actually get more energy from that, from your environment?
Yeah, that's amazing. So, man, dude, these are deep. I love this. This is so awesome. And I've never shared probably 80% of what we're talking about today. So this is my first time ever being able to like get this out and broadcast it. So this is a very powerful live, a very powerful conversation. So thank you for bringing the inspiration and the spark, Charles. You are amazing, bro. So this is why I share with people calories are ineffective. They're irrelevant because units of energy are not created equal. Like you can get units of energy from some sort of substance, even nicotine and cigarettes can give you some sort of like high in a sense to where people can get energetic off of it, but it leads to cancer in the end. And then you can get energy from the sun, which if people don't watch out, if they have things in them that don't cooperate with life, they can also get cancer too. But it's not from the sun; it's what they're made of. But inevitably and ultimately, the sun is beneficial to every degree. So in getting that sun, in getting the specific type of energy, vitamin A through minerals, zinc, fresh air, and everything else, it's a purer source to live from. It's a pure energy. It's a pure type of fuel. It's a pure type of gas or whatever you want to say, like whatever fuel source you're running off of. You can go off of dirty energy, which is still energy, right? I can take a bunch of pre-workout and energy shots and caffeine pills and stuff like that. And that's the type of energy. It will give me energy, but it will cost. It will show them. I've never seen a person. I've never seen a crackhead look young. They always have their soul sucked from them. They always have their life taken from them. And in the same way, they still have energy, but at what cost? So not every calorie is the same. When you start intaking what's actually around you from nature, not manipulated, not from man, but like from nature itself, it's a pure source of energy. And that pure energy influences your conscious. So the very thing that you intake influences the person that you are. You become a different person based off of what you're absorbing and intaking. So they say a woman on birth control will usually choose a more effeminate type of man. It will change her preference in men due to our belligerently drunk. If you've had that one friend who was drunk and you saw him talking to that one girl, like, yo, bro, sober, you wouldn't be talking to her. So like you pull him away because it literally influences your decisions and your entire being. So the compounds and the particles, the molecules and everything else that you're made of or comprised of or have absorbed literally construct the person that you are. So it's not even just a consciousness. It's from the start. It's not even just like, hey, this will make me more conscious. It's these things are literally making me who I am, because you eat enough carrots, your skin will turn orange. You eat enough blueberries, your skin will have a hue of blue, and so on and so forth. In the same way, whenever you start taking in pure sources of energy from the sun, air, and everything else, like we mentioned in the guide in the group, you become a completely different person. So now you're not just becoming more conscious, you're becoming more conscious as a different person who could be responsible with the consciousness that you're being given. A person can take a bunch of like plant medicine and stuff like that and like have epiphanies and stuff like that, and they can make some sort of evil AI that takes over the world, because they say that Silicon Valley, like microdoses and stuff like that, well, these AI facilities are draining up the water, and people are all this other stuff, right? Or you could be made of a pure construct and a pure consciousness, have the same amount of energy come in through consciousness and expansion, and now everything that you do gives life to everything around you. Now it's not on the bill's not on the people. Now the people are actually becoming wealthy. That's why all the people in the Discord community, when I share this energy with them, they usually start getting more money, a better relationship with their family, or they even find love. It's not even about health or weight or fitness or fasting. It's literally about living the highest form of reality. And that derives from where your consciousness even starts. Everyone's conscious. The crackhead's still conscious and all this other stuff. But what type of consciousness is that? So if you're going to get these energy sources like the sun and everything else, you really want to understand what's been influencing you up until now, because nothing goes without effect. That's why all calories are not created equal. A calorie of this is not equal to a calorie of that. They might have the same unit. This might be 100 calories. That might be 100 calories. But the way that this affects your consciousness makes you drowsy, gives you headache and everything else, like the junk food, the ice cream. While this over here, the steak, the potato, whatever, the healthy thing, right? The healthy alternative or the main thing, the actual food, gives you energy, and you are more clear-headed with it. So it's a compounding effect. It's exponential as you move in the composition of this material to be made of from your consciousness. As you take in the fuel sources from over here, it expands your consciousness exponentially. So of course you'd want to gather the most purest energy that you possibly can, and it's emitted from you. Your skin glows, your teeth glow, your eyes glow, your muscles get bigger. For the women, they get more curvy figures and everything else. You have more peace. It's easier to induce your own elation and create serotonin, oxytocin, stuff like that. And you end up becoming a different type of being. Like I get DMs and stuff like that. People are like, dude, you're like an angel on earth. Like I can feel your presence, and people have visitations of me in their dreams and stuff like that because of the type of consciousness that's being emitted from this specific type of energy. So not all energy is created equal.
Correct. And beautiful, Mikey. This brings me to like the next idea, which is efficiency, right? If someone wants to become more efficient, yes, okay, I understand your sources of fuel, right? Like you said, not all energy sources are created equal. Let's use the word calories or water, even, or light. There's artificial light, there is sunlight. Let's talk about people, the people that we connect and surround ourselves with, because the concept of iron sharpening iron, right? And who we surround ourselves with is also a source of information and energy. What is a strategic and a metaphysical standpoint for us to become more energized, more efficient in terms of the people we interact with?
Well, when you come into a heightened state of consciousness, you understand that everything can have something extracted from it. So you don't necessarily have to upgrade the people around you or change people at all when you become this conscious. Maybe in the beginning it would be like training will. So like, yeah, get around more hopeful people, get rid of the doubters, the non-believers, the people who just talk negatively all day or just complain, the cynics. Yeah, you can remove those from your life. But now when you obtain this type of consciousness, you can go back into that world and you can convert everyone else around you, not into a religious type of mindset or even your own philosophy, but you can take the pessimistic energy and then derive some sort of extraction from that. And these people, everything becomes a fuel source from you now. Not like you're an energy vampire, but that these people themselves are speaking anyway. They're going to speak negative. Okay, I can take that and turn it into something. I think David Goggins had some sort of like inspirational post or quote where he's like, keep complaining or whatever or hating. He's like, I'm going to take that and turn it into something great. And it's the same way. So when you become this aware, it doesn't matter who's around you. That's why I never worry about energy vampires myself or people trying to extract energy from me, because I know that I can use any type of energy that there is. Like as long as it's a human being and they're emitting energy, negativity, positivity, whatever, I'm able to source that and derive from that. And because I'm more usually in the rooms that I'm in, I'm more conscious than the people around me. As far like the negative people, I will outlast them. I can literally stay up for days and not go to sleep and just be performing and going. So that person, they're probably negative because they have low energy and everything else. They always gas out before me. So I never walk into a room now with fear or worry about who's around me, because I know that I'm just allowing them to show me how we're going to extract goodness from this, even if they're coming from a negative standpoint.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And when you, like you mentioned, when you're operating at a certain level of consciousness and you're able to take in negativity and transmute it, you can actually give people the opportunity to elevate, even when they're negative. And just by being around you, as an effect of, let's say, osmosis, people around you can start to transform when your energy and your consciousness is elevated.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%. So the main goal is always to focus on yourself and bring your consciousness to the highest state. And then you can utilize everything around you. It might take years to get there, but nonetheless, like that's what you want the focus to be.
Amazing. Mikey, lying. How does that destroy people?
Man, oh, that's a good one. Oh, I love this. So in my manifestation guide, I actually talk about lying and how detrimental, how impactful this is, because you can never lie. You can never truly lie because you will always tell on yourself. So like, though a person may be lying, in your heart, or that person knows in their heart, or it's just not even in their heart, their mind, they know that they're lying. And everything goes with effect. Like there's nothing that doesn't have an effect. So every time a person lies, they create a greater chasm or divide and subject themselves into weakness. They become into a more contracted state to where they have to put out more just to have even a little bit of success, because the lie may hold this one thing up, but you keep lying and it takes more lies to even hold it up. But as you're telling more, as the person's telling more lies, they're actually working against themselves. And that's why you see liars, and they usually have big bags under their eyes the more they do it. Not because it's just a stress response, but because they're showing they can't hold this up anymore. It's too much. I'm not saying every person with bags is a liar, but what I'm saying is whenever a person does lie, they know that they're lying, and every time they get hit with that, they are losing energy, they're losing trust with themselves, they're losing effectiveness in reality, and they come to the point where they don't even trust themselves anymore. So therefore, how could they be effective in reality? How could they do anything? Because everything you're doing, everything a person does is based on the competence and the confidence they have in themselves. Well, if a person lies, they completely obliterate that. They don't have any confidence in themselves. The only thing that holds them up after that is the lie. But the lies come crashing. And this is where you have disillusionment and stuff like that, psychosis, and there's a whole plethora of things that comes along with that. But the lying actually makes a prisoner of the person, and they're a prisoner of their own devices, and they're a prisoner. And the more they lie, they get further from the key. The key actually is thrown further and further the more they lie. So they dig themselves deeper into that contracted state. So lying actually costs you everything. But whenever, like people might ask, like, man, how are you poly? How do you have so many lovers and partners and stuff like that? It's because I've been very, forward with everybody who's actually going to be here in my life and stuff like that. And I'm very direct. I'm like, yo, it is what it is. Like, you want to be here? Cool. If not, whatever. And then women usually end up respecting that a lot more than the man who's a cheater or a liar and who go behind people's back. But because I'm very open, and I'll even tell the girl, hey, yeah, I have like 2-3 other girls here. Like, yeah, you want to come over? She's like, what? Like, oh no, like, how are we going to do this? I'm like, no, there's no secrets. We're not hiding this. Like, they know about you and everything else, So that actually ends up garnering more respect from the girl than if I was to lie or anything like that. Now, again, my intentions are pure because I'm not trying to just hook up or something, in that manner. But nonetheless, whenever you approach in the right way, you actually start living a different world where the less you lie, the less you would even have to lie. But the more you lie, the more you're going to have to lie. So the thing begets itself. Lies create a situation in a life that requires more lies to be sustained. Just telling it. I don't even believe in truth either. So I'm not saying like, oh yeah, the truth. And like, I don't believe in truth. I don't believe it's real, but I believe in what's actual, the actuality of a matter. When you just operate in what's actual, it shows you what's real, what's actual there, and you can operate in it even better. So when you're real, so I don't believe in like truth and lies. I believe it as in lies and real. Is it real? No. Okay, that's a lie. Is it a lie? No, that's actually real. Okay, cool. So whenever you embrace life in its actuality, you get more from what's real from life. So the people who don't live a real life have to substitute in fakeness and artificial things to be sustained. This is why people need steroids or plastic surgery or hormone therapy or all this other stuff, because even unknowingly or subconsciously, they've been engaging in and partaking in lies. So it atrophies their life. And then to even sustain, now they need the pill. Now they need the pharmaceutical. Now they need the surgery because their life has gone in so much artificial or so much which not real. They're barely even being held up. But when you operate in what is real, whether it's real food, real light, real words, real thoughts, real everything, your body is established on its own, and your body creates its own density. So you're established from the inside out. So it's a direct correlation with everything else in your life. So whenever you lie, it costs you everything, because it leads you into a life that's going to have to be held up by that and more lies here on out, permanently. So the best thing to do is embrace what's actual. You don't have to move fast. So a person might be asking like, well, how do I move in actuality? Slow down. There's no rush. You don't need to be rich. You don't need a partner or whatever today. It doesn't need to happen right now, this moment. Because if you just live in what's actual, the perfect person will come, the right opportunity will come, everything good will come. But whenever you rush, a person's moving in insecurity, which anytime you move in insecurity, it's going to collapse anyway, because it's birthed from insecurity. Insecurity cannot stand. And if it ever is held up, it costs you so much to hold something that you started in insecurity. So it's better just to take it slow, actualize what's going on, and be real with yourself about what this is, And then once you solidify it, you can move in it and it becomes established. Now you never have to go back and do it again. So now you're not even spending as much time as you would when a person lies, because they have to go back and fix it again and go back and keep doing this and go back and forth. But once you move in actuality, it's established for what it is. You rarely ever have to go back and visit again. So you come to the point where this is established and you move forward. This is established, you move forward. This is established, and then you get to keep all the success that you have. You get to keep your youth, your vitality, because your vitality in your life is established. Your success is established. Your relationship is established. I've been with Sasha this summer will be 15 years. So like we moved from one year to another in establishment of actuality. Same thing with Lay. I've been with Lay for over 6 years now. We moved in what's real, what's actual. And then guess what? I never had to go back and try to, oh, is this that, question all this other stuff, because I didn't move until it was established for what it is. And I moved in that. And you can only do that whenever you don't just not lie. You only look for what's actual, not in a judgmental way or an interrogative way, but you're just moving and like, oh, is this? Okay, cool, let's go. And it makes life so much easier. It's less stressful. You have more power. You can manifest easier, create life a lot easier. You don't have to fake it till you make it or try to affirm yourself, but you see it for what it is. And when you're not lying, you get to go down, you get to see these blocks, because now you see what's actual, because lying will hide those blocks from people and they can't even see because they lie so much. Because even if they saw the block, they wouldn't even know if they can trust themselves or not, because they've lied to themselves so many times and other people. They wouldn't even trust what they see with their own eyes. So you can tell when a person lies because they don't even trust what they see with their own eyes. It's right there in front of them and they can even decipher if it's real or not, because they lie to themselves. Every person's projecting in a sense. So whenever a person doesn't lie, but they live in actuality, it's so much easier to see these blocks, and then you can resolve them, dissolve them, and you fill them in with the next part of space, which is established. Now you have a kingdom that can stand for millennia, but it has to be built in actuality, or what some people would call truth.
That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing, brother.
Yeah.
So many things to
Yeah.
contemplate, like once again, self-trust. When you don't trust yourself, you have to control and manipulate yourself, and it requires a lot of energy. So just being what actual. And I'd love to just dig deeper in what is actuality, right? What is
Oh my
actuality, and how do we, you mentioned slowing down, yes, but how do we actually actualize, self-actualize more deeply? Because that's the name of the game, right?
Yeah, you're going deep with this. So this is huge. This is big. All right. So guys, I want you to know that you're not going to understand this in one message or one video at one time. So it requires the diligent allowance of yourself to grow. So don't be in a rush. I'm not even saying be patient, but just allow yourself to grow. Like, like if you have a kid, don't force them to go into puberty. Like allow the puberty to just take its course, right? Whenever they graduate, stuff like that, and go and be adults, like you want the natural flow of things to happen. So it may take some time to understand everything that I'm saying, because I didn't understand this in a day. Remember, I've been in this since I was 6. So for 31 years of my life, just actualizing reality. I had no parents. I had no brother, I had no mom, no dad. I was at home alone. So I would spend all my days as actualizing reality. What is this? What am I in? What do fingers mean? What is food? And I've been doing this for a long time. So just give yourself that lenience and that grace to grow. And one thing that's really going to help you is listening to these things multiple times, like have them wash over you and in you. So whenever you hear these messages, you may not get it the first time, second time, third time, but the fourth time you heard this specific message, it just clicks. It just makes sense. You didn't have to try to understand it. It just made so much sense. And then bam, now it's a part of you forever. Now you can just operate in it. So that's something big. Another thing that's big too is to take notes. So like if you guys ever watch these interviews and these podcasts from Charles and myself and everything else, taking notes will establish things in you faster, and it will make sense faster. It will become a part of who you are versus having to remember or force or try. It just becomes a natural part. It becomes habitual in a sense, because it just becomes, you've heard it, you saw it, now you wrote it, you feel it, and not you just become it. So it makes it a lot easier. So how do we get to the bottom of what's actual? I went over this in the Discord community. It's a very extensive voice memo of a process of how to. One of the main things is that really helps do all of this, right, is forgetfulness. the main reason why a lot of this stuff happens, calamity and chaos and everything else, is because of forgetfulness. Whether you want to call it a spirit or whatever, we just forgot the lesson. We forgot what happened. So whenever we forget what happened, there's these gaps in our life, in our mind, in our memory. And anything that's like that, it collapses and it doesn't stand. And we end up having to learn a lesson over and over and over again. So to understand what forgetfulness is, that's the most crucial thing that's working against a lot of people is forgetfulness. So when a person reduces the things in their life and they come down to a more solidified point, well, what is actual? And then going from there, well, I think, therefore I am. So I'm here. Okay, here where? Where am I? What is this? And they start going through this survey of questions with themselves, and they find out, like, is this conceptual or is this actual? And then whenever they remove all concepts, preferences, and opinions and biases actually, because there's multiple categories of different biases, you come to the point where you go to a reductionist standpoint and start from there. And when you start from there with all the energy you get from the guide, you expand out. When you expand out, it becomes established. When it becomes established, you don't forget. Like, I've never forgotten my name ever in my entire life. Like, I've never been to the point where I was so belligerent I forgot my name. And it's the same thing with these new principles that a person applies to their life. It becomes so established, you just never forget it. So when starting the guide, I have never forgotten the guide. I've always lived the guide. I never thought, like, oh, is this bad? Is this good? Was this, that? No, because I did it at such a rate to where I can confirm if this is actual or not. And then I move from there. Now, how do we determine if something is actual or not? Well, you can go to the scientific method, in a sense, or, like, physical reality. Is it measurable? Is it an event that we can create? Can we replicate this time and time again? And you can kind of branch out from there. Now, there's going to be some things that are conceptual, maybe like paradigms and stuff like that. But you want to come to the point where at least you have some sort of influence or effect. Almost like, I don't really like using this because I don't know, it's used quite a bit, but like the double slit experiment, right? They can replicate that. It was replicated over and over again, even though it's quantum. It was unpredictable at first. Through their unpredictability, there was still evidence of subjectivity to the thing being measured or not. So there was still influence. So nonetheless, even though they didn't know why, they were still confirmed in their experiment that there was influence. Things are happening, the particle to the wave and everything else. So in the same way with your life, if you move slow enough and don't demand an answer from reality, you can see the little subtle influences that even concepts and paradigms have in your life, to where you can establish them as actuality, or maybe social conditioning and things like that. Because some paradigms, some ways that you approach things have a direct correlation with what you're experiencing in reality. But if it's conceptual, is it actual? Well, to determine that, you have to see the influence of it. And can you repeat that? Is it repeatable? So you approaching this thing in this way, completely conceptual, intangible, you're not physically altering anything in space and physical reality, but yet you keep getting the same type of feedback or same type of effect or result, where you can go ahead and mark that. You may not know how it's doing this, but you can at least say, like, there is some sort of influence when I hold this specific thought or whatever that affects reality in this way. Start marking these down. Don't just try to remember, like, oh yeah, it does affect it this way, or it is that way. Because if you do that, in a sense, never hold anything to memory. That's a great lesson right there. If you try to remember it, you're going to forget it. But write it down, establish it, go back. I'm not even saying that you have to go read your notes every day or even every year, but when you write stuff down, like I was saying, even about these interviews and stuff like that, it establishes it more within you. That's how I remember forgetfulness. It was March 17th, 2021, roughly around 6 p.m. when I found out about forgetfulness. I remember the time, I remember the date, I remember where I was, I remember everything about that. And that was the day I stopped forgetting stuff. So, like, a lot of people, when they will come on my live and like, oh yeah, Mikey, you remember my name. Like, how do you remember my name? It's like, what? It's like, well, I stopped forgetting stuff because I started recording stuff and I'm establishing myself out from there. I'm not saying I remember everything, but I stopped forgetting a lot of stuff because I stopped trying to reach. A lot of people have that bubble or that area of forgetfulness in their life because they try to extend themselves beyond and it's unsustainable. So they end up forgetting a lot of stuff because it took so much energy to reach. When you stop reaching and you just expand, it takes almost no energy. It's very low energy to expand. It's natural. You get to save all that energy and you don't forget stuff as much. But people are trying to reach, they're trying to do this crazy fast or lose 50 pounds in a month or do these crazy things. Their life, their whole life is like that. Usually how a person does one thing, they do everything in the same manner. So their whole life, they can't even remember what they ate last week. They can't like me, the last time I ate was July 25th, 2025. And I remember everything about it. Why? Because I don't put things in my life that it wouldn't be memorable. I'm not saying I only do fun stuff, but I don't try to reach so far beyond me that it takes a massive amount of energy to do these things. And because of that, I save a lot of energy. And because I save a lot of energy, I don't forget. And because I don't forget, I'm established. Because I'm established, no matter what comes, it doesn't break me. I'm here. I'm still here. I'm consistent. And that's what time actually is. It's the continuity. It's the progression. It's the continuum, unbroken chain of experience, minute after minute, hour after hour, day after day, week after week, moment after moment. That's all we're in. We're in a continuum. We're in a chain of events. And if you can't even remember the chain of events that you're in, you don't even know what life is. How can a person even know life if they can't even remember the sequence? Well, what got you here to this place? Then how could you ever direct where you're going or your trajectory if you don't even remember where you've been? They say the people who forget history are doomed to repeat it, you know? So with all that being stated, these people are trying to do too much. They're trying to jump into a program and lose 50 pounds and hurry up and manifest this. Like a lot of people rush to my DMs in like frantic mode, like, Mikey, I need your help. Help me right now. Oh my God, I'm in desperate need. And like, well, staying in the energy is going to be ineffective. Like you're not even going to stay in it. But when a person approaches, okay, I'll do whatever it takes. Well, what it actually takes is to slow down, which is funny. People like want to rush to hurry up and get a result. That's the opposite of what you need to do. You need to actually slow down. And then from there, every part of your life becomes solidified. You stop forgetting. You stop having negative effects. You stop having trauma or some sort of horrible event. You stop forgetting your car keys. You stop losing money. You stop getting angry and all this other stuff. And now you can, it's almost like you go in slow-mo time, like the Matrix when they were shooting the bullets, like Neo was able to pull back, and it's almost like he was operating in super speed, but slow motion at the same time. You get to see everything for what it actually is. And whenever you do that, now you can even move the bullets or the people or whatever, and you're operating in a higher sense than everybody else in reality. And when you're in that, how could any calamity ever happen to you? How could anything bad actually happen? So it's all about garnering this energy, becoming conscious about it, pulling back, not reaching out too much, establishing yourself, and only going to the rate at which you can expand naturally. And then whenever you do that, your life becomes heaven on earth, and you're sustained and pristine in time.
Incredible. Mikey, so there's a lot of talk in the personal development space, spiritual space, whatever we want to call it, right? About presence, right? But we're always present. We're always in the present moment. But in the guide, through knowing you in the community, you speak about being engaged with reality. And I find that is the actual concept of what people try to touch on when they speak about presence, right? It's that actual engagement. What does it take to be more fully engaged with reality moment to moment, to actually live engaged, right? Because you said that when you are engaged from moment to moment, you will keep regenerating. When you are conscious and you have energy to stay engaged, right, you will continue living, right? How does that engagement work? How do we become more engaged with reality to have a greater effect in our reality?
100%. That is a great question, man. These are deep today. I love this. This is what I always want to talk about when I do lives and stuff like that. No like qualms on the people, but it's always like, hey, how do I lose weight? How do I do this? But I'm like, I want the meat, and it's cool because you've been in the Discord community long enough. We're like, okay, I have all the basic stuff, Mikey. Let's get down to it. And this is the entry level of where it goes. Like we're talking about, like, we've had positions where we can go, like, I don't really want to sound crazy to people, but you can go back in time and change stuff. But we'll save that for another one. But this is like we're finally going into like where the cold water is the deep water, and I love this. So how does one stay engaged in reality? because you're 100% right. Like the huge movement in the spiritual world or the Gnostic world or like the esoteric world is presence, 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 right? And like you said, it's presence, but it's not necessarily engagement in the presence. It's like, okay, be here. It's almost like be here and do nothing. Like, okay, I'm going to sit on the park bench. Yeah, like Eckhart Tolle said, just do nothing, just watch. No, like the whole point of life, you know, something is alive because of its action and reaction by engaging in it. That's how we know that time is not frozen. The bird moves across the sky. And even if the wind is blowing in the opposite direction and the hawk is kind of like there, it still tilts just a little bit. The movement itself is the very evidence of life. So whenever you're truly living, you engage. Like if you poke something, if you see something and you poke it with a stick and it doesn't move, you're like, okay, cool. But if you see something and you don't know what it is and you poke it with a stick and it moves, you flip out because that thing's alive, right? So if you were truly alive, you wouldn't just sit there and do nothing. You'd actually do the opposite. You'd move. This is why I'm big on community and stuff like that. Like, don't go on some sort of solo retreat where you do like a social media cleanse or fast and you disconnect yourself from reality or the people for like a week or 2 weeks or a month, or go on a silent retreat. I'm not a monk. I'm not a Buddhist monk. I don't do these retreats like that, nor do I believe in that. Like it's pointless. You're here to connect. Everything in reality is connected to reality. The trees are rooted in the ground. The bird is connected with the wind. Like there's something under the bird's wing that give them lift and thrust when they flap their wings, because they're connecting with the air. You can't see it, but it's thick. Like if I do this, I can move stuff around me. I can do a gust of wind, or you might be able to hear it on the mic or something like that, like a there's an atmospheric density in the air, and birds are flying because they're connecting with that specific level. Everything in reality, everything in life is connected. So when a person tries to disassociate, they try to be present. That's just like the first point of it. So like, yeah, being present is just like, okay, let me take account. Like, where am I? Okay, I'm present. Okay, I'm in my room. Oh, this is happening over there. Now the engagement part of it is this, and this is the most powerful part. Okay, now that you know that you're present, what do you do with the data that you're taking in? Do you smell something burning? Oh, you got to go to the kitchen and get that. Do you hear an alarm? Oh, you should probably see what that is. Like, now that you're present, that's just the first step. What are the indicators of your reality, of your environment, of that moment? What is it calling forth? And whenever you interpret it correctly, you won't always interpret it correctly, and it's fine. You learn and you live, or you live and you learn. But you start to become familiar with what reality is and every single sign. And I can tell if it's going to rain outside because I'm so connected to reality. I can feel the moisture in the air. I could smell it. I can tell if something's burning. I can tell if there's a noise in the house I've never heard before. So I can see like, okay, hey, is somebody here? Like, what's going on? You know, not in a creepy way, but like maybe my security guy need to come in to like fix something, whatever, right? I can become more detective of things around me and know how to approach them because I'm more familiar, because I'm more conscious, I'm more conscientious. But the starting of it is, am I even present? Okay, don't end there, don't stop there. That's not the end all be all. But with my present, with my presence, I need to interpret my experience to indicate how to engage with it. Because remember, I'm taking something and making it better every time. I'm not saying that you have to clear out a forest and build up shopping malls. Like, oh yeah, we're going to gentrify stuff. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, you take in the data from your atmosphere, you pull it in, and from the correct interpretation, it's going to tell you how to engage with it to make it better, more lighthearted, more fun, more youthful and vibrant and all this other stuff. And then by the end of it, you're truly engaged in reality because now you're cooperating with it. Some people call it co-creating. It's not really my term or my word, but yeah, if they want to use that. But nonetheless, you're taking one thing, getting an interpretation of it, and then making something else out of it with it to a higher degree of purpose. And that's what truly engaging with reality is. How do you know if you're doing it or not? Well, are you even interpreting reality? Like what's here right now? So you just go back to starting, am I present? And then, okay, well, what am I interpreting? Okay, is that actual? We're going back to actual. Okay, now what can I do with this? Now your creative mode kicks in. Whenever you truly engage, you are the most creative. So whenever like Ruslan or Kiara or whoever has come out to visit me, we have played such cool games. We just made up games in the moment of like kickball or like throwing some sort of ball or balancing or like badminton type stuff, to where you got to go to like 50 or 100, or so you can do the like we'll just make up these games. So you usually know when you're engaged in reality, when you're creative in reality. You're not leaning or relying on somebody else's creativity, like a video game or something like that. Like they had to build a video game and blah, 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 blah. But you're creating your own metric of it. You're creating your own experience of this stuff. So maybe you're even playing the video game, but instead of playing by the rules of the game, you make up some other game inside the game. So the evidence that a person's truly engaged in reality is their creativity actually being implemented? Are they coming up with new ideas and they are doing them in the space in that moment in time? It's a huge indicator.
Right. So creativity, and that the word itself relates from something that creates, right? So
Yeah.
in essence, that's what we are doing here. When we engage with reality, we are in essence creating in every moment. Would you like to go deeper on that with how we can become more effective through what we think, how we feel, and how much energy we can allow ourselves to express?
100%. Yeah, totally. So it's all about energy. I don't want to say conservation. You're not trying to operate from the lowest energy output possible. You want to operate in the highest efficiency, which will automatically lead into energy conservation, or you have abundance of it to where you can now do other things. But you want to gather and harness as much energy as you can. So this is why fasting is so ridiculous, is because you don't want to not eat. That's never the goal. That's just starvation. That's just insecurity. So like, that's why I tell people, never fast. It's not about not eating. If anything, you want to get as much energy as you possibly can. You want to take in as much energy as you possibly can to operate at a high level consistently. You want to enter the flow state in a sense and never come out of it. You want to enter into these higher states of consciousness, which it takes a lot of energy to sustain these things. A lot, like think about the AI. Now what are they called? The freaking AI big buildings or whatever.
Data centers.
Data centers, right? It takes so much energy and water and resources. But what is AI trying to mimic? The brain. It takes all this data center. It takes all these. It's like all this land, all this space, all this water, all this heat, all this energy, all this fuel, right? Just to operate, to even get a fraction of how humans operate and work. So to embark in, and that's a compliment to humans. Like you guys you have to understand how freaking divine you are and how intelligent once you actually have the right fuel source. And I say this, every human is a genius. You just have to have the right resources to kick it in and start. You have to crank the car. So you have to have the right fuel source to be able to operate it. You might have sparks of divine genius, but you're supposed to live in that day in and day out. Even me, like whenever I come into these interviews, I'm not trying to think, okay, I have all my questions that they asked before. No, I'm trying to go into a divine drive every month to give an expression as an answer. And operate in this, it's a huge cognitive load. It takes a huge energy capacity. So you have to make sure, I have to make sure that I have enough energy in my tank on standby, and a great enough familiarity of exploring and navigating through my brain waves, my neural pathways, and everything else to be able to compose, because everything is this composition. Every word, every sentence is the composition. It is the makeup. It is the structure. It is the art. But if you're unfamiliar with your tools and what you have and the colors and all this other stuff, the person, sometimes people won't even try. I don't even know. They'll just say, I don't know. And it's not that they don't know, it's that they're unfamiliar with who they are. Because whenever you at least are familiar of who you are, you may not know the answer, but you can start to derive from clues. You can look around and see what's going on because they're present, right? They can at least look around and see what they can extract from, and then they can come to a result or an answer. Okay, well, it's probably this. And then from that, I've been partially, not, I don't want to say psychic, but I've been able to predict things in people. Like, oh, hey, like you had a girl over your house last night, didn't you? They're like, what? Yeah, how did you know? And like the certain cues in their emotionality, who they are, the characteristics and stuff like that. Maybe even like some lipstick on the neck. Like, okay, well, bam, I can decipher from these things here, most likely this. He's like, yeah, blah, blah, because, all this other stuff. Most likely they had the girl because they were lonely. They were lonely because they don't know themselves. They don't know themselves because it's forever going, ever going, right? Every conversation is going infinitely inward. Every conversation is going infinitely outward. So we can take every conversation to to forever, to into eternity, right? So we have to come to the point where we have to comprise or utilize the information and the components that we have and then structure them into something to make, because energy just can't sit in you. If you have energy just sitting, it's going to become cancerous. It's going to work against you. Still water becomes toxic, and the same still energy inside of you becomes very detrimental. It can make you aggressive and agitative. You need to move, and this is not saying that a person needs to constantly be moving, but you should probably constantly be moving. But what I am saying is actually this: it's not about stillness. It's not about Buddhism. It's not about be nothing. It's learn how to completely engage in reality to where you source all the energy from it so you can constantly be moving, because that's what God is. When you look, like, in a sense, like if God made all this stuff, right? Time has never stopped. No matter where you go, something's always moving. And they say even like on a molecular or a particle level, there's electrons, protons, neutrons. They're always moving, always moving. Everything in life is always moving. So to truly reflect God, you must constantly be in motion. But what they say is we all move at the speed of light, but we're frozen. So we're frozen or like materialized light. So we're actually moving behind God in a sense. We're not moving at speeds. So for people, when they want to recluse or pull themselves back and be still, that's the opposite. Because when you look out into nature, the sun moves, the stars move, the moon, the birds, the plants, the trees, everything. Man can make stuff that doesn't move, right? Like buildings and, I don't know, statues or whatever. And there's a few things in life that don't move quick, but nonetheless, mountains still have landslides. The scenery changes, new roots come up, and there might be very slow movement, but nature, reality is always moving. So what a person actually wants to do is come to the point where they can gather enough atmospheric energy, carbon energy, liquid energy as much as possible, derive that as a fuel source, become familiar with their cognitive functions, and then transmute this into movement, into some sort of creation, whether it's vocally, expressed physically, or whatever, to where they're creating in this realm, and they become like God in a sense, or like the reflectors of, not to be God, not to be worshiped, not to be like, okay, I'm so great, you have to worship me, but because that's what life always was. Life isn't the stillness, life is the constant movement. Nothing in life stays still. Like, even if something's staying still, its heart's still beating. You're never still. I don't care how still you try to be. Your heart will still beat. Your heart will still beat for you. And you have no true control over it. You can't truly stop your heart from beating. It may beat slower, but you'll never stop it from beating, because the creator who made you made safety mechanisms that even if you try to put all this punishment on yourself and say, oh, I need to be punished for my sin, I need to sit here and not move and all this other stuff, even your heart will beat, because the creator, the maker of all things, wants movement in reality, because movement creates magnetism. Magnetism creates the energetic field that's drawn to you, which gives you more energy to fulfill the purpose of living, which is to be express fullness in the energetic purpose of this entire realm, which comes through creativity and engagement. So
Sure.
easy.
You're traveling the world, right? And you're eating, and you speak about consuming variety, right? And exposing yourself to all the varieties of nature, right? Not man-made stuff, the variety of nature. How does that connect to your purpose?
Man, it's beautiful for sure. Yeah, I didn't even factor that in. So Charles, you're like a step ahead of me in that realm. I'm always moving. I'm in a new country every few months. I'm in a new house every single month. I'm in a new relationship almost every day. I'm always moving, but that moving has actually kept me young. Not moving in a hustle way, like I have to hustle out of insecurity, but just moving from the establishment of what I am. Okay, I'm here. I'm doing this, and this is just what it is. Going with the flow, and this, per se. Now, with all that stuff being said, like I can say I have a purpose, but I am seeing that from all of this, everybody kind of has the same purpose. Like, everyone started a different place, but they end up in the same to the same result, which is to live. Like, the purpose of life is to live, to actually live life. When you don't fulfill the purpose of life, you die, you contract. So the person who's not truly living the purpose of life, there's no reason for a person to be here. So life has a great way of just taking people out. Like, if you're not adding to the greater of all this experience, life will just, swipe your feet from under you, and like it'll take you. But whenever you're truly fulfilling the purpose of what this realm is, in a sense, like your essence isn't taken, and you glow, and your skin's bright, and you have vitality and life. And I haven't been sick in like half a decade. I used to get sick like sometimes twice a year, every single year. Now I haven't like been sick for like 5, 6 years or something like that. So really since starting the guide, because I've been focusing primarily on life. Whenever you focus on what life is and use all of your resources to fulfill the purpose of life, you're given more life to fulfill more life. So it's a give and take. Whenever you eat variety of the guide, you change the molecular influence in your brain and how it works, the coherence and the comprehension, to where you see life every time you consume something differently. That's why in the guide, especially in the Discord group, I tell you like, hey, these specific things, they're not like nootropics or psychedelics or anything like that, but simply different compounds, different shades, different varieties. It's like 80s, I don't know, I think over 80 different types of stokes or something like that, or more. Like, I don't know, like 1,000. It's like crazy. But each stoke has a different benefactor that's going to initiate something in your comprehension of reality to give you a different conclusion or a result. But if you only eat the same thing that you've been eating for the past 6 years, your mind can't think outside because it's only been fed the same thing. So the same initiators are starting, and you have all these other initiators that you have in your brain that are just dull. They're dim, and they're collecting dust in a sense. So whenever a person goes into the variety of life, they have a new activator, which gives them a new outcome, which gives them a new perspective. It gives them a new outlook. So the fact that I'm never in the same place twice, I have constantly been moving for the past, really, I've been constantly moving probably since 2011, but it's been ramped up. So I went from 2011, went from Houston to Dallas, and then from 2011 to 14, I was in Dallas to Atlanta from 14 to 21. 2014 to 2021, I was in Atlanta. But in that meantime, I still traveled across the U.S. and whatnot. And then from 2021, that's when I fulfilled living in the United States. I went to pretty much all the states, inland, like intercontinental, inland USA, right? Not Hawaii or Alaska. And then I start traveling abroad and going to Costa Rica, Panama, like Central America, all through South America and everything else. So I've constantly been moving really for the past I would say 15 years, like really, really, really moving. And because of that, my mind is always stimulated to think in a different way. There's new languages, there's new people. I'm seeing there's new houses. So my mind is constantly having to properly interpret data, and it's never just passively operating. It's always forced to engage, because if I go into a new house, how would I know if a stranger's in there? Like, I don't know the shadows of this house. I don't know what the noises outside are. My mind has to constantly be filling in, checking in, and being present. But I'm able to sustain that as well, because I'm constantly taking in new sources of food. I don't stick with the same chicken, rice, and broccoli and everything else. It's always new food all the time, biggest variety, which automatically activates certain ways of thought. This is why cultures who eat this think like this. Cultures who eat that think like that. It's not completely dependent upon, but definitely influenced by the type of components that they consume, because it's going to trigger their mind in a different way. When you drink coffee, your mind thinks differently than when you don't. If you intake ginseng, it triggers your mind into a different state. What else? Man, there's so many. Salvia, that's one thing there. I'm not even talking about like smoking or anything else. I'm talking about like even just consuming these things. These compounds will affect the way that you perceive reality. When you're constantly in that, your mind can only expand. How could you ever atrophy if your mind's working by default, even passively? Like me just being in a new place, passively just being there, my mind's already expanding, giving me new thoughts, insights. I will usually have a more refined perception about something that's maybe a new topic than the person who's never left their hometown, has eaten the same thing over and over again. Now, they may have a deeper rooted understanding of something, but I'm have a greater array and a vastness to the way that I'm able to think, which is usually why people want to interview me or talk to me and all this other stuff, because I'm not just traveling to travel. I'm not traveling to be a tourist. That's one of the main things I share. I don't care about your sightseeing or your monuments or anything like that. I'm there to literally absorb all the energy. So that way, when people ask me questions, I give answers they've never heard. Because as I'm going through reality, I'm like a hurricane. I'm just sucking up all the resources I possibly can, gathering as much energy. I'm directing it towards my cognitive functions. Now, whenever I output or I say something, people are like, I've never heard that before. Well, I had to travel through Malaysia and Colombia and all through the Americas and put myself in situations and be, in all these different things to even come to the point where I'm saying this. It's a product of everything behind me. So everything coming out presently is because it's an accumulation of everything I've experienced behind me, which comes to this most refined point. So we have this variety in our life with the food that we eat, the people that we're around, and everything else. So we can intake as many activators as possible cognitively. So whenever we perceive something, we have more factors that we can include, more perceptions and dimensions that we can look at something. Like if I put here's one of the best things. Hey, can I see a phone or a notebook? This is going to be perfect. I love this. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a little brain teaser here. So stick with me. I'm going to put this up and you tell me what this is. So if I put this up, I want you guys to tell me what it is whenever you see it. All right, cool. Perfect. What is this? Can you guys tell what this is? Can you tell? Charles, can you tell what that was?
Yeah.
What was that? Do you know?
It's a pink number 9 on a white background on your phone.
Is it a 9 or is it a 6?
Yeah, or a 6. Yeah. Depends on how you hold the phone.
Is it a 9? Is it a 6? Is it a B? Is it a lowercase e? Whenever you see and you have different triggers throughout your life, you can see it in different dimensions. Ultimately what it is, it's pixels on a phone. That's what we're really looking at. But the interpretation of what we're getting from the structuring of those pixels can make a lowercase e. It could be an e. It can even be something outside of the numerical system. But because then we understand that, okay, well, the camera also has reflection in this and that. So like it's a reflected image and all this other stuff. You can factor in what it is to its closest proper interpretation. And the closer you get to what it actually is, the more extraction you can get from it. And whenever you extract something from it to its greater degree, you have a greater effect in reality without having to put out any effort or energy. The amount of effort you have to put out in life is directly associated with the correctness of your interpretation of something. This is why we say the term work smarter, not harder. Whenever you see that this is needing to be done, if you don't know how it's going to be done, you're going to lift the boulder and take the boulder up the hill. But when you understand, like, okay, well, we have cars, we have donkeys, even we have wheelbarrows. So even if we're not using a car to take it up the hill, we could put it in a wheelbarrow and just wheelbarrow it up the hill. But if you haven't been exposed to these things, it makes life so much harder. Well, there's a certain passive activation that happens in your cognitive functions by just putting yourself in a position of new energies that you never experienced before. If you induce yourself in these energies, it might become overwhelming and you might get overstimulated. Like if I just dropped a person, maybe like they live in the USA or maybe like South Africa all their life, right? And I drop them into Thailand, like Bangkok. That may not be the best thing for them. They may get like overfried, like sensory overload. But if I slowly progress them more and more into the Asian culture and stuff like that and build them up they're able to modulate themselves in a correct manner to where they can operate and function properly without any sort of hindrances. When they're in that state and in that relaxed state, they can then absorb the energy of that specific region, that area. And now they're going to have that Thai influence move through them. And now they're going to have another established or like an installed point inside of their cognitive functions to operate in, to where if they go back home, other people won't even be familiar with. So they can, in a sense, run laps around them in a specific way. Now, it's up to the person individually to understand what that energy unlocked within them. But nonetheless, when you put yourself in these exposure points, it unlocks different metrics within inside of you. You can do this passively without having to put yourself in bad situations. I'm not saying go walk down the alley of a dark or go walk down a dark alley that's dangerous to put yourself in a new situation. I'm just saying even changing one thing in your environment, changing where your apps are on your phone. You can even change the placement of your, it's going to trigger your brain to expand passively as you just operate and maneuver to continue expanding into reality. And then from that, it's going to cause you to engage in it, but you're also going to receive energy back from it, which is going to give you a greater, grander outlook and scope of what this realm is, even from the simple things. And that's how important it is to have variety constantly throughout every day and every moment of your life. No 2 days should ever look the same. That's why I say don't do a schedule, don't have a routine. Always change your day up and allow it to be. And whenever you do that, it starts to flow effortlessly. And whenever it flows effortlessly, you get to keep all this energy. When you keep the energy, you stay looking young and powerful and fresh.
Yes, Mikey. And what I'm hearing is, and please correct me if it's not accurate, is the more data points you expose yourself to, the more leverage you have over yourself and over reality. Right? And that's one of the things that we get from the guide is there are so many new experiential data points that give us, once again, so much more leverage over our own energy and our relationship with reality that it really makes things easier. Like you said, if you work smarter, not harder, and you become way more energy efficient. Is that correct? Just
Yeah,
so
I
that I'm
mean,
interpreting it.
totally. So like a lot of people get caught up with the guide and they're like, oh, well, if I'm vegan, do I have to be on the guide or do I have to fast to be on the guide? The guide is like 1,000 different points of things that aren't even associated with food. So yeah, food's in there, but like it's such a minute portion of the guide. Like it's not the main thing to focus on. That's why I don't put it in the front. Like I save it for last because it's not the thing that a person needs to start with. There are thousands of different effectors, and we could call them data points if you guys want to, but there are just subconscious cues in your reality that you can do that you don't even have to process. You don't have to be cognizant of what's going on, but you just place yourself in this certain environment and you end up absorbing the energy of it. The guide gives you a step-by-step approach to these different factors of living life a different way. So whenever people say, okay, what's the guide? The guide is literally the way to live life. It's not a program. It's not a course. It's not like a 3-week, 6-week program. It's literally like, hey, read this instruction manual. It's going to make you view all this stuff differently that you're experiencing. What stuff? The wind, the rain, your sleep, food, how you use the restroom, how you even defecate or urinate or whatever. Like it's going to give you a new outlook. So just like whenever I go live or share this information with you guys, it's like, whoa, I've never heard this before. This is a whole new outlook. That's what the guide is. It's there to prompt you on new outlooks. So whenever you go into this realm, you can see it in a different way to where you can become highly effective, to where you can put out minimal energy and have a greater effect, and it costs you less. So you get to save that energy. So the guide sets this up to where it hits all these different topics of life, which is why I call it the life guide. It's a guide of life, the guide of how to live life. And as you read this instruction manual, read this life guide, you understand and have a greater coherence and understanding of what this life actually is. So whenever you go out, you're highly effective. You can keep your energy. And it's almost as if you've perfected life so much, it's perfect by default. Now life, instead of you giving your energy to it, it's feeding you and it's bringing you alive. So it's the guide of how to truly live in a way to where life gives you life.
That's incredible, Mikey. And, life is, I would say, the ultimate matter because we're all in life and we're all alive, right? And you are the author. You put your name to this thing called the Life Guide. How everything affects everything, right? What does it mean to you to guide someone through life, through more efficient and optimal way of living life? Because you do that with a community, you do that, but you did it by authoring the guide, you do it through the Discord community. But what does that mean to you?
That's a very beautiful question. So we can even have this as like the last question before we actually start answering the question from the audience. But Charles, I want to thank you so much just for being here, asking all these great questions. This has been amazing. Like this charged me up, bro. So like I feel even more ecstatic after this. So like I love you. This is awesome. And then after this, guys, if you want to, you can start dropping your questions down below, and Sasha's going to read them. She's going to pull them up the screen, and Charles is going to read them, and we're going to get into audience questions and everything else. So Man, what does it mean to guide people through life? It primarily means this: there's a way to live, and there's a way not to live, and it is very apparent. Okay, so there's very obvious things of like how not to live, right? So, um, don't hurt yourself. Don't jump off a building. Don't walk in front of a speeding car or a bus. Those things will stop you from living. Like there's very apparent things. If you do that, you're gone. Okay. So if that's accurate, then the opposite is true. There are very apparent things that will extend your life or give you more life and everything else. So the life guide doesn't really focus on death too much. We don't talk about like the avoiding death guide or like no death or this and that. No, we focus on our North Star. If we focus on life, then that will automatically show us what's not life, the anti-life, right? Which is contraction, death. So there's no such thing as death. There's just not living. This is why healing really isn't the thing. I don't talk too much about healing. I touch on it because it's a very familiar term, but there's things beyond healing. Healing is kind of a myth as well because you don't really heal. You just start living again. And once you live, that's the components of what you're made of. So the sickness, the illness just goes away by default. So it's not a healing, it's just living again. So whenever you live and you live life, you get more of it. So there's these certain steps in the guide that lead people all throughout it to get life from everything that they do. So I show you how to get life from the way you sleep, your relationships, being outside, breathing, eating, stretching, moving, operating with time, and all these other things. So there's ways to get life out of everything that you do. That's why I say there's like 1,000 points in there. Like somebody who says like, "Oh, hey, I read the life guide and I'm done with it," and they got it like 3 days ago. I'm like, no, it will probably take a person well over a year before they can fulfill all the life guide because there's so many things in there. There's literally like 1,000 different things that you appropriate yourself or like attune yourself to where you can extract life. So I'm showing people how to extract life out of every single moment, out of everything that they do. So if it's a matter or a topic of life itself, usually the life guide will cover that thing. And if it's not in there, it's probably showing the irrelevancy of it. So like working out and stuff like that, it's not really in there because you don't need it. Because whenever you go to the gym, you actually give your life to it. That's why it really draws the energy from a lot of people. So the life guide focuses on all these things. So in every moment, every unit, every interaction, every action, you can extract the greatest amount of energy from these things so you keep your vitality. So you're not doing it to stay young or get muscles or just have energy. You're using it so you can live into the divine being that you are. It takes a lot of resources to be divine, right? Like if you're sick and you're in the cancer ward and you're on your deathbed, you probably have low energy. That's probably not as divine as you could be, right? I'm not hating on anybody who might be in that situation. Prayers out for them and everything else, but like the person is closer to contraction than they are expansion in a sense, at least in this realm. But whenever you do have all these resources handy and you understand, let's say this, if a deity or a god came into this realm right now, they would know how to utilize every single metric and iota of energy in this realm, and they could create energetic things. They can create energy weapons, energy tools, energy structures and buildings. They could probably direct lightning and freeze lightning in the sky to where it's a permanent artismal in the sky or some sort of like creation from themselves. Like they would have a greater understanding and ability in this very specific realm. But guess what? For that deity to exist and have that comprehension, it would take a great source, a great energetic source to be able to sustain it. A lot of us have had moments of epiphanies and revelations that have led to sparks and bursts of like ideas and like great genius moments. Well, that's the evidence that that's a state that you can operate in. And I believe that you can stay in it and never have to come out of it. Well, how do you do that? You do that by gathering and harnessing as much energy as you possibly can from the realm that you live in and the way that you live, maneuver, and operate. And then whenever you can source all of that, you live in this state and you never come out of it. Then you start living divine in day-to-day reality all the time divine, and you never come out of it, all the time divine. Like you just stay in divinity all the time divine. And that's what the life guide leads you into, the harmonic state. So when a person's able to source all that energy and have it, they live this expansive creative life to where they may not be like me to where they go live and talk to people socially, but they rise to such a high state in their life. Their body becomes symmetrical. We've had people have like almost like reconstruction in their skull and everything else from like living this type of way where they were asymmetrical. Now they're symmetrical. Not only me, but other people have grown muscles. Patrick, he was on live the other day. He's grown 15 pounds of muscle since being in this type of life. No working out, no protein powder, no TRT or hormones or anything like that. A person who had Tourette's, he reverses Tourette's, PCOS, PMOS, all the stuff has been reversed because people are just living life. When you live life, you become divine. When you're divine, you're not sick. You're not lethargic. You're not tired. You're not uncreative. You're not damp. You're not wet. You're not dim, but you're brilliant and you illuminate and you shine. It's so obvious. All the world sees it. So I'm bringing people into a greater luminosity within themselves by the way that they live, by showing them these simple steps that they can apply day to day. It's not religious in any manner. You can believe in any religion you want to. It does not matter because it's literally saying, hey, when you sleep, sleep like this. It's not a prayer. It's not anything like that. When you drink like this. When you eat like this. When you go to the toilet in this angle and do all this other stuff. So it's literally like basic ways to live. When you brush your teeth, brush them like this. And I've had people who were like even in their 60s who were like, dude, no one ever taught me how to brush my teeth. And for the first time in my life, I'm actually brushing my teeth correctly and I can feel it. I can feel the difference. We've had people who have their teeth regenerate, cavities have filled in, gingivitis is gone, halitosis, and all kinds of stuff. Teeth have regenerated, all kinds of stuff. Eyes have gotten wider. The colors has changed. My eyes are now like bluish. They were green, yellow, and brown before. Now they're like still gray, blue. Hair filled back in, all kinds of stuff just from living life, not just existing or, oh, that's the health path. Because health is a myth too. I don't believe in health. I don't believe in healing. But the thing is, I have healed many illnesses and sicknesses because I don't believe in healing. I understand it's a life issue, and I got them onto life. All their stuff, all their illnesses went away by default. But if a person's trying to heal, they're just treating a symptom. There's a deeper rooted issue. So by following the steps in the guide, they come into a higher proportion of what existence actually is, and they rise or they ascend into a divine state within themselves. Not calling themselves a god. I'm not even. Who cares? I don't care. It's who cares to be worship? People are fickle anyway. They'll love you one day, hate you the next. Who cares about worship or praise from man? It does not matter. But what I'm saying is their state in their body emits a divine type of emittance or frequency, whatever you want to call it, vibration, whatever. The person radiates divinity. And then in that state is the opulence, wealth, euphoria, blessings, and everything else that they've ever wanted. Everything they've ever wanted is in the harmonic state, because the moment that you're in it, you see the block, you remove it. You see what's holding you back, the limiting belief, the self-sabotage, you know how to readjust it. You see the energy, you know how to keep it, all this other stuff. And everything becomes so obvious. You live life on God mode in an easy way. Like it's the easy God mode because you have all the codes to reality in the sequencing. So that's what it is for me, at least, to lead people into this life. And it's a very beautiful thing because like even a woman, like I got this testimony yesterday. A new member of my Discord, she's been on the guide for I think like 2 or 3 weeks or something like that. She's been post-menopausal for 3 years. Okay. She's been post-menopausal for 3 years. So she's been post-menopausal. Okay. Post-menopausal. Got a menstrual cycle back. For the first time in 3 years, she's had her period. Because her body has regenerated so much. The post-menopausal woman, she's 56 years old. She came into so much life. She started becoming to where she can be fertile again, or at least to the point where she's having her menstrual cycle, which means there's probably some eggs in there or something's clearing out or something. Because there's so much life that is garnered from this type of life, it makes you so divine that even the impossible is possible. So it's a very honorable thing for myself. It's very beautiful to see it because we're not trying to get postmenopausal women their menstrual cycles back. It's not the purpose. We're not trying to regrow hair. We're not trying to regrow teeth. We're not trying to claim any sort of healing or anything like that. We're definitely not telling people to fast. So definitely eat. To follow the guide, you have to eat every single day. But what we're doing is bringing people into such a divine alignment by very simple things, day-to-day tasks that they can do, like very easy things that it's literally bringing heaven on earth in their life. And it's an honor to be the one ushering this in for people. All my people in the Discord are winning. Everyone's getting more money, more success, more health, more beauty, better relationships. And they're just living a whole new life that they didn't even know was possible. So for me, it's an honor. And I love it. Because this
Thank
to
you
me is
for
what life
answering.
actually is. This people are like, oh, that's crazy. That's unreal. No, this is real life. This is what life always was supposed to be. And I'm glad I found it.
Yeah, what a cool answer, Mikey. Thank you. And yeah, thank you for making this available. And thank you for making yourself available, through the Discord, through the live, so that we can interact with you. And even now, going live so that other people who are not in the community can see what it's about. They can see the results of it. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
totally.
you. I love you, brother. What
So
a journey.
So I want to share this with you guys. I'm going to give Charles a special link. So if you guys want to get the life guide or join the Discord membership, you can use his code and you get a percentage off, and it helps his channel, everything that he's doing. So Sasha, would you want to share that? It's winning, WINNING. I love that code. So at checkout, you just type in winning and you get a specific percentage off. It gives a kickback to Charles, and he builds his channel up and everything else. So you guys can go and get that on MikeyBreeds.com or theguide.life. At checkout, type in winning in the promo area and you save some money, and you help Charles and everything else. So we are about to get into the questions now. So if you guys have any questions for either Charles or myself, feel free to ask it. We're going to pull up on the screen. And until then, Sasha, okay. Charles, can you see the Instagram at all, bro?
No. Can you read it out, Sash?
Yeah, I'm going to have Sasha read this out, and I'm going to make a little trip. I'll be right back. Give me 1 second, guys.
Yes. So maybe Charles, you can probably answer some of these.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, so what's your thoughts on Reiki?
Yeah, Reiki is, I would say, Reiki, like any other therapy, is an overcompensation. It's a compensation for self-neglect. So when you actually love yourself and you give yourself the attention, you wouldn't need any external modality to come into balance and to come into harmony with yourself. So yeah, I'm not saying that any of these things are bad. They can be cool therapies and interventions, but obviously, or ultimately, they are just forms of compensation for self-neglect.
Beautiful. And her drips asked, teeth, do you brush teeth? How? With what? Etc. And what do you think about braces and the metal stripes after the brace comes off?
So I never had braces, but in terms of brushing teeth, inside of the guide, we have a recipe that actually regenerates teeth. We've had people, I don't know if you regenerated your tooth, Sash. I remember there being some amazing testimonials of people regrowing their teeth. But
Yes, that was
ultimately,
me.
oh, great. That's so
Yeah.
cool. And I mean, I'm loving the toothpaste. My teeth have gone so many shades whiter. My breath,
Heck yeah.
my partner actually said I don't have morning breath anymore. But it's
Nice.
not. But I want to add that is not just the result from the toothpaste in the guide and brushing teeth in a certain way. It's also a result of eating the correct way as prescribed in the guide, breathing certain ways, how you use the restroom, how you sleep. So our teeth, there's a lot that goes into the health of our teeth, not just brushing, not just the actual oral care, but there is an amazing toothpaste recipe in the guide that actually helps regenerate your teeth when your body is in the correct state. It tastes great. There's obviously no toxins. Everything is natural. So yeah, you can check it out in the guide.
100%. You said it, you nailed it perfectly, because when you eat the right way, like he just testified that he doesn't have morning breath anymore. So like when you cleanse all of that, it just like clears up in every single way. So that's so powerful. And did you want to add anything to it? Okay.
No,
Her drips also asked, what if you're not hungry? Should you still eat?
Yeah, you should definitely eat every single day, even if you're not hungry, because it's not so much about being hungry as much as it is about getting the variety, like we said, because you're not hungryness is sustaining this state. I'm trying to get you past that state into an evolutionary state to where you expand and you become a whole new type of conscious being, and you need varieties of sources to obtain that.
Absolutely. And now Laura asked, what do you think about sound healing? And either of you guys can answer this too.
Charles, you want to go in for sound healing? Like your thoughts on it?
I think sound is cool. There's nothing wrong with sound. Sound is vibrations. You know, we're living this reality, but when you go for any sort of healing modality, it means you're compensating for some sort of self-neglect. I don't know if you want to add to that, Mikey.
I mean, that's perfect. You said it. So like, you only need to heal with sound if you're hurt. Stop hurting yourself. You come into a conscious degree, and it says sound healing. You can activate certain triggers or thoughts with sound, like we have with the theta meditation in the Discord community. And now you're using sound not to heal, because healing's backwards. We're evolving into the next. So it's like, you know, healing is playing catch up. So Charles, that's perfect.
And then Tim True asked, Mikey, did you build your physique and then figured about no food, etc., or just got ripped by not eating?
I definitely still eat food, and I'm against not eating food, and I'm not a no eater. I just haven't eaten yet. I've gone many days without eating, but I'm not eating, if that makes sense. So like, I don't deny food. It's not that I don't eat. It's just that I've come to such a great expanse to where I haven't eaten in a roughly long amount of time compared to any other person. So with that being stated, my physique has been on and off all of my life. I developed gynecomastia at the age of 9. And then from there, it drove me to push myself and do all this other stuff to try to get rid of it without surgery, to no avail. And I would gain weight and lose weight and all this kind of stuff. And then since being on the guide, whenever I first got into the guide, I was 260 pounds roughly. And I went from 260 to like 190. So I got like super like thin and frail. And then from just continuing the guide, now I rose today. I'm like 215, 216 pounds. And I don't do any sort of extracurricular activity. You guys see me kick the soccer ball sometimes and stuff like that, but I'm not out there doing pull-ups or running marathons or lifting any weights or stuff like that. I might climb a tree or whatever, but that's like once in a blue moon. Ultimately, the guide has given me the awareness to give my body what it needs to expand itself. And the results that you see today are simply from following the guide. It's not about not eating. I look like this when I ate every single day. Like I was just, if not more. Here, I'll show you guys a picture real quick before I move on, but it's not about not eating. I'm going to show you what I look like when I eat every single day. Because people think like, oh, he looks that ripped because he hasn't eaten in so many days. It's the opposite. I was like this before I started doing that. And then after I prolonged my eating times. So I'll show you guys real quick. I'll pull it up here. So ultimately, it's not that you can eat every single day, kind of like Ruslan, right? Ruslan lost over 30 pounds simply by doing the guide. And he eats every single day, big meals. Your weight has nothing to do necessarily with eating. Your weight has everything to do with harmonization and balance. Because if you have a bunch of toxins in, because like there are people with thyroid issues, they eat like 700 calories, they'll still blow up. It's not a caloric matter. It's not an eating matter. It's not coming into total alignment with all of your life. So this is me before the guide on the whatever it is for you guys. And then this is me 6 months in the guide with the yellow shorts, but I eat every single day and I'd eat a lot of calories, sometimes 4,000 or 5,000 calories a day. So this is me here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I know there's a lot of glare, but so this is me like 255, 260 pounds. This is me like a little bit under 200 pounds, maybe like 200, maybe even 201. But I was that ripped and that shredded eating every single day. So I was ripped on the guide, still eating. So not eating has nothing to do with the definition. There's a higher thing I'm trying to show you guys. So you can still eat every single day and still be ripped. But once you execute on the guide, you find out there's greater importance besides being ripped or not. The muscles like Charles has, he's in the best shape of his life. Me, I'm in the best shape of my life. Everyone else, Ruslan and Patrick and everybody, Steve, the dudes, even like the women, you know, Sashley and Roro and everybody, right? Once you actually come into the guide, you see there's greater things than just physical aesthetics. And when you embody that, you get the physical aesthetics as a gift. It's almost a byproduct. Like I had the body, this is like secondary. Like, this just came because I lived this guide, but it wasn't what I was pursuing.
So Harmonic Blueprints asked, I'd like your thoughts on sleep related to energy and its true purpose.
Sleep related energy. Yeah, if you have a I guess greater context on what you mean by that, I'll share. But we could talk about sleep and energy. Charles, you want to open it up? Sleep and energy, like thoughts on it and its purpose.
Yeah, well, sleep helps us regenerate. It's that simple. You know, when we sleep, our brain gets rid of toxins. Our subconscious mind actually processes emotions and all sorts of stuff. So sleep is very important. It's like breathing. Not as important as immediate, but sleep is extremely important. And in the guide, you actually learn how to sleep to the max, to the best, the most efficient way of sleeping.
That is awesome. So he said it just like that. Like when I sleep, I go into deeper realms and it helps me merge with my subconscious. Because that's ultimately what you want to do. You want to bring heaven to earth. And you want to bring your subconscious to your conscious. And whenever you sleep, like the way that the guide says, like and even like Charles, like you get into a greater state of regeneration, detoxification, and everything else, and you become a whole new person just from the sleep that you get. You can tell if a person hasn't had sleep or not. They get angry. There's a lot of angst. They get anxious. A lot of A's, right? But when they get sleep, they look rested. You can tell they glow. Well, sleep is a huge proponent of what you're about to experience in that day. Have bad sleep, you're going to experience that in reality. Have deep, great sleep, you're going to experience a whole different reality.
Beautiful. And then her drips asked, I might be saying this wrong, but Shivambu urine therapy, and what do you think about it?
Well, your body excretes waste for a reason. You shouldn't put it back in. So like if your body is literally eliminating waste from itself, you should be intelligent enough not to put that waste back in. So no urine therapy. You don't need it. Like my skin is glowing. My hair has filled back in. My eyes are blue. My teeth are white. My muscles are big. I have a bunch of energy. I technically haven't consumed a meal in like 295 days or something like that. So like there are definitely higher ways than consuming your own waste. Okay. There are people who are lost. They don't know what to do. Now, if you want to consume your own waste, go ahead. I don't mind. If you want to drink your pee-pee, that's on you. I don't know what kinks you guys are into, but whatever, okay? I would say this. There are more divine things to put inside of you than to put what's been excreted out of you back in. And that's just higher divine revelation and insight. So yeah. Charles, you want to hit on that topic? Drinking pee-pee? Silly.
Yeah, I can add my take on it. So I understand where the question comes from. There's a lot of spiritual fads and biohacking stuff out there, but once again, that's just a compensation for self-neglect and not living correctly. So and that's how far it's gone. It's gone so far that people actually would put their own waste inside of them because they're so disconnected from themselves. But I understand with compassion where the question comes from. So yeah, good question.
Very beautiful for sure, guys. What Charles and I are saying is there's just higher ways. Can you do it? Yeah. Are there results and effects? Yeah. Everything has an effect. Every cause has an effect. Every action has a reaction. Okay. So if you put something inside of you, yeah, it's gonna affect you in a certain way. But I even say this, like if you had cancer in your arm, you don't have to chop your arm off. You can there's other treatments you can do. So like these very extreme things, I'm telling you, like when you get into the guide, you find out how relaxing life can be. And you don't have to do extreme things. You don't have to fast. You don't have to drink your pee-pee. You don't have to eat your poo-poo or whatever's happening. I don't even know what's happening in the world today, but there's very easy, methodical, therapeutic things that you can do to embrace life. And it makes life so much more euphoric and pleasurable. Besides drinking your pee-pee.
Beautiful. And we have a question from YT. And I can't read his username, but it says, if the essence is perfect and all the problems come from not knowing who you are, is the solution for all the problems actually becoming aware of you, choosing you, surrendering to natural signals?
This is really cool, and I'll definitely let Charles talk on this as well. But there's a couple things I just want to ask reading this question, right? If the essence is perfect and all the problems come from not knowing who you are, I like by essence, are you saying like if our soul is perfect is so just like give me context if you're talking about something else. But the problems do arise from us not knowing who we are, what we're in, and what this life is. So it's a little bit deeper than not knowing who we are. So you have to know, well, what is reality? What is life? What is a hot stove? What is a fire? What is a jaguar or a leopard? Should I go and touch that thing? Hey, what's a snake? So it's not you just knowing you. It's becoming conscious about all of reality. So as you heard, time has conspired and everything else. You have heard Charles and I both talk about coming to the fullest realization of everything in reality, not just self, but everything, to know what everything is. When you have an understanding of what everything is, you can navigate through it so much easier. So like, yeah, there is an essence about knowing who you are. He said everything as far as the essence. It's all good, but if you could put it back on that right there. Problems. It's not that they come from not being aware of who you are, but they come to show you what you've been choosing. They show you who you are. This is why problems aren't bad. They're actually a benefit. The problem is there to get your attention, to show you, hey, you've been making this choice. They're not bad. They're not negative. You're not even trying to rid yourself of problems. You're actually trying to come into the realization that there's problems even in your life. Most people have accepted a very mundane life, and they're okay with that. Well, that's fine and everything else, but you can live a higher degree of reality, a higher, greater experience. But if a person's not even exposed to that, they will just accept life as it is, and they'll live in a specific state. But with that state becomes a lot of chaos. So problems are usually considered, or chaos is usually considered, a problem. So it's not that it's a problem, it's that you weren't expecting it, or it wasn't met to your desire or your expectations. But problems, when you truly see what they are, it's not chaos, it's what you actually chose. You chose that thing to happen, or whatever, car wreck, incident, whatever. So when you see that problems are actually relaying to you who you are, what you've been choosing, and what's even going on in your reality, you can ride that. You can live from the script of it. And whenever you do, you can find out who you are more. So it's not because of your unawareness towards yourself. It's to make you more awareness of yourself. Yeah, because you're unaware of yourself. But ultimately, everything in life is trying to reflect you back to you. So you don't have to surrender. One thing I definitely want you guys to keep in your terminology or take out are embracing versus surrender. You're not here to surrender to, you're not just gonna like give up the will and like let life just drive for you, but you're embracing and engaging with life. You're not surrendering, you're not falling or succumbing to, or some sort of negative term, but you're engaging with life. You're connecting with it, you're fusing with it, and you're becoming one. So you're becoming aware of what the signals actually are in your body or in your environment, just to get the feedback of yourself. And guess what? If you're okay with it, you can stay there, because the signals and the feedback and the indicators aren't there for you to change per se. They're there just to show you and confirm who you are. And if you're cool with who you are, you'll keep getting that signal. But if you're not cool with who you are and you get that signal and you're like, oh, okay, this is telling me this is who I am, you can change it, and then you'll start getting different signals. Charles, would you like to tap on that, or like hit it at all?
Not at all, Mikey. That's it. You know, there's more to just knowing self. It's knowing that we are in relationship with what's going on here. So yeah, beautifully put.
Yeah, let's go.
So he also said, "Can I interview you?" Did I show it? Can I interview you? I have 10K subscribers, as well as an author of 3 books and about self-realization. Where can I contact you?
So this is Jelogen. Am I saying your name right? Vojelogen? Okay, cool. Yeah. So anybody who is in my Discord can hop on with these to interview me. So either join the Discord community through that way, or if you have a podcast. So if you already have a running podcast and you have been putting out episodes, you can bring me on your podcast and everything else. But if you want to do this specific interview, we reserve this for our Discord members. It's one of like the perks of being a member and everything else, along with a lot of other stuff. If you're an annual membership holder, you get the guide for free, the meal plan for free. If you have Discord membership, you get updated copies of the guide. So every time we make updates to it, you get those included. You get training videos, the community, and everything else. And you also get to interview or like have a conversation live with me as well. But if you are not in the Discord community, another way to do that is to have a podcast, a running podcast, who, you know, you've been putting out episodes and everything else. But yeah, if you want to hit me up on Mikey Breathes, stuff like that, you can talk to the beautiful, lovely Sashi, who's been reading off camera, and she will definitely get all the information and we can connect that way. Love you.
Beautiful. And then on IG, Wusha asked, "Are you on liquids or just ether/prana?"
Right now I'm on a pillow sitting on the floor so my butt doesn't hurt. That's what I'm on. But yeah, I drink liquids. Yeah, I mean liquids are here, but I also eat and stuff like that. So the ether prana, so people get it contorted or they get it twisted. Like, okay, if you're intaking air, then that automatically means don't eat food. That's not what it is at all. It's not even close to that. You want to get all the different, like Thanos, right? In Marvel's Avengers, he didn't just live off of the reality stone or stop at the soul stone. He got all the stones. He got all the infinity stones. He wasn't just like, okay, just ether, because that's the limiting way to live. You want to get everything. You want to eat, you want to drink, you want to breathe, you want to get the charge, the field and everything else. So it's not that, okay, Mikey's just living off of air. I do breathe. I even have an oxygen tank behind me. I don't know if Lake can pull it up real quick. And then, guys, if you have any questions for Charles, go ahead and drop it down below. I'll go ahead and relieve him of duty. This has been awesome after this. But if you guys have any questions for Charles, go ahead and drop it down below and we'll get to that. But I have an oxygen tank here. So it's not that like I'm just intaking air. Like literally, this is the pure oxygen. But I'll also drink. I'll drink liquids and juice and this and that and all these different things. Thank you, Lay. So you want to get all the different types and sources of energy as possible and not limit yourself to one. You know, bring it back to a reference like the Avatar in the last Airbender and stuff like that. He didn't have one element. He mastered them all. He had the fire, the water, the earth, air. He had all of them. In the same way, you want that. You want to try to get as many sources of energy as possible from the sun, the air, the food, the liquid. And whenever you do, you have I'm not here to offend anybody, right? That's not my goal. But usually people, this is not for offense, but usually people who live off of only air or are trying to be breatharians, this is not a stab at anybody, usually do not have the most successful life. They don't have overabundance of wealth and the ability to travel constantly and just opulence and all this other stuff. They're very restricted. They're very limited. Their only thing is not eating, right? That's the opposite of me. I want it all. I want to experience the wholeness of reality and the fullness of it. So with that being stated, I can't just go after one source because that already is starting me out in a limited position. I want the ether, the air, the atmospheric charge and everything else. I want the oxygen. I want the sun. I want food, minerals, vitamins, like rocks, branches, all this stuff. And whenever I do that, it boosts my mind to a heightened state. To now I'm able to live and express the fullness of reality. So yeah, I intake liquids, but I'm not limited to it. So if you guys have any questions for Charles, please ask them now and drop them down below and let us know. Do you have something for Charles?
Not yet.
Okay.
But these can be answered by Charles for sure. Matibotjov says, "How can you say how you maintain high testosterone?"
Do you want to share that, Charles? Because after this, I won't keep you any longer because like the questions continue going forever and everything. But if you want to answer it, you can. If not, then we can wrap it up there, at least for the Q&A for yourself and myself. But I'll stay on with the people and answer a couple more. I don't want to keep you all day, but we will definitely be dropping Charles' link down below, and you can use this code at checkout. And then if you guys want a discount on the guide or like a little promo off, you can use his code. His code is winning. What is it, Sash?
Question for Charles from Kiara. We'll come back to the testosterone question. Is that okay? So Kiara on YT asked Charles, "Why did you decide to join the Discord and apply the guide?"
That's a great question. Thank you, Kiara. I think you know the answer. I think that's a rhetorical question because, but I want life. I choose life, and I've seen Mikey before getting the guide. I've been watching Mikey online for a long time, trying to poke holes, like just like looking for incoherences, and I couldn't find any, and here I am. Here we are, blessed to be living this life. Kiara, great question.
100%, man. She always has the best questions. I didn't know that. I had no idea. I knew that, we had talked before, like you got the
Yeah,
guide and everything else and got the Discord, but I didn't know it was kind of like that. Like, okay, let's see, like, is there any like inconsistencies or like incoherences?
yeah,
Ruslan was the same. Ruslan actually, he saw me, he liked me when he
yeah,
saw me on online. I
yeah,
said some stuff that offended him, and he's like, F this Mikey Breeds guy, forget this. And that's happened to
yeah,
so many people. So many people come
yeah,
on and they're like, oh my God, he's awesome. And then like
yeah,
next month, they're like, F that guy. But then the
yeah,
thing is, like, what I kept saying showed to be accurate, and
yeah,
actual. And Ruslan's like, bro, like, he's right. Let me give it a try. And now Ruslan's been in the Discord community for over a year now. He has the love of his life. He's in a better state, better energy. He's lost over 30 pounds, and he's literally a different person. Because for one, like the all honor to him and like reverence, like he was just like yourself, willing to be transparent and be like, bro, I was offended at you. But like he got over that offense, and now his life is like uncomparable to his former life. Like he has love of his life. He feels so free. There's so much more joy. And I know the same has happened to you, and like even more coming. So like, Charles, I love you, man. Thank you so much for just being here, being part of the family, being on the live today, showing up for yourself, and just being willing to partake of this life, man, because it really is again, if I find something better, I'll share that with you guys. So far, this is the best thing I've ever found. I've been searching for 31 years. So it's an honor to have you here.
yeah. Thank you, Mikey. Thank you for your time. I just always choose the best thing, and this right now, it's the best thing I've ever come across in terms of giving me more life, more health, more wealth, success. So if anyone is watching this and you're considering it, go through Mikey's stuff, look at the coherence, and we look forward to seeing you in the community as part of the family. Mikey, thank you. I'm going to bounce. Sashi, thank you. I'm going to bounce. I've got a meeting at 1 o'clock. Love you guys. Mikey, I'll see you on Wednesday. I'm looking forward to that.
So much. Real quick before you go, can you tell people where they can find you at so they can connect with you?
Charles Veyer. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Just look me up and come say hi. I love you.
Awesome. Love you, man. See you soon. Thank you so much.
Love you.
Cheers, bro. Bye.
All right. So the testosterone, huh?
Yeah, we're going back to that question.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Now I can just be like as direct as possible. Because I want to keep all in a nice court whenever I'm have guests on and stuff like that. So Charles nailed it, man, in so many different ways. Really, really thankful to have him on. Like those were some great questions for sure. Definitely like a new realm of like embrace. Kiara always has good questions too. Okay, cool. So the question is like, how do I monitor testosterone or keep it high or something like that?
Yes. How do you maintain testosterone?
How do I maintain high testosterone? Well, I was in a very estrogenic state previously in my life, and I gained a lot of like body fat, and I developed gynecomastia at the age of 9, stuff like that. It really, really jacked me up. But now I don't even think about testosterone ever. I'm never thinking about testosterone. I don't monitor it. I don't care about it. It's just an effect. So it's like having testosterone is simply the effect of the state that you're in. So you're not trying to make your testosterone high. You leverage your testosterone as an indicator to give you feedback of what's in your environment and what's actually going on. So I leverage testosterone as a tool, not as a place where I need to be. I'm not trying to get high testosterone. I'm using the effects of my life. Like how's my libido? How's my energy levels? How's my muscular definition and everything else? How's my voice? Since being on the guide, my voice has gotten deeper without trying. I'm not trying to make my voice deeper or talk like this. It's just naturally gotten deeper. Like if you look at my old videos, my voice was higher. Like it's just deeper now, but I've also grown. Like I'm taller now. Like, and this is at 37. Like growing at 37. It's not like I grew last year, like, whatever. This just happened like months ago. I grew taller. My voice got deeper. All these things. And it's not because I'm monitoring testosterone. I'm just using everything in reality to indicate to me what I'm embracing. And I monitor that second by second. Great question, though.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Tim True said, awesome. Grateful for the deep insight. So guess what you're saying is mind over matter? Sorry.
No, not at all. And Sasha, can you turn that off, please?
Yes.
No, I'm definitely not saying mind over matter. I'm talking about becoming so conscientious you understand how matter operates and how it functions. So you're not trying to force believe or try to make something happen by just believing it. This one here. but you're becoming aware with understanding and knowledgeable of the faculties of reality itself. You don't necessarily have to try to like learn a bunch of stuff, or okay, I need to learn the scientific approach to, or the physics of, or anything like that. But you have conscious awareness to where you have enough energetic capacity to just pay attention and see it. You can even experiment yourself. So it's more so of a conscious merging with matter versus mind over matter.
So, Keep Animation asked, "What are your thoughts on allergies? I'm allergic to cats and dogs. So, do you think it's a sign of low energy?"
It's low energy would be in the field of, because energy can be described as many things, but the components of your consumption are creating, or the lack thereof, the lack of the components from what you're eating and consuming and everything else, is putting dysfunction in your body to where you're allergic to the very things that are on this earth. You're allergic to cats, dogs, animals, and stuff like that. When the world is riddled with animals. Like there's so many everywhere. How could you be allergic to something that's so abundantly here, unless there's dysfunction in you that's making you um, intolerable to the very plane that you live on? So I would say that that's just an expression or an indicator to you as well, to show you that there's some components missing. Once you actually add those components back into your life, maybe taking some other ones out like toxins and everything else, that's going to regulate, or at least build you up to where you're not susceptible to some sort of rejection of, because the allergy is a displacement. It's trying to get it out. So you might break out, or you might sneeze or cough or whatever, because it's your body trying to get it out, because you don't have the ability to cooperate with it, the defenses to stand strong against it. So the defense mechanism is the sneeze, the sniffle, the cough, or even the breaking out, because your body's trying to push it out.
Harmonic Blueprint asked, "What's the biggest insight you've had about how to live on your journey?"
I have a new insight every single day, so that would be difficult to say, man. It's a daily thing. I can't even share this on this live, or I'd get flagged or whatever. But I get new insights every single day, and that's the whole component of the guide, is that you start seeing life for exactly what it is, and every day is a new epiphany. And then don't try to reach out, don't try to discover something, but allow it to come, and as it does, it can be established within you, and then you start operating in it. You don't try to force or anything like that. So I would say that the biggest thing that, or epiphany that I've ever learned with it, is that truly everything affects everything.
Cademan Creative said, "I bought the guide bundle a week or so ago, but I didn't realize it included the physical copy." Wait, it didn't include the physical copy. I know we get free 7-day Discord access. Are there any deals to get the physical copy?
Yeah, totally. If you hop in the Discord and you actually get the membership, I think every member of the Discord gets discounts or promos for all the other things that we offer on the site, the landing page, and everything else. So the digital bundle is just that. It's a digital bundle. So when it says digital bundle, it just means the digital stuff. So it's the digital copy of the guide and the digital meal plan. We are now making an ultimate bundle to where we have everything. We have the physical copy, everything. You get kind of like everything included in this big bundle, but we haven't really rolled that out yet. So if you want a discount on the guide, I would actually say this: if you join the Discord annual, you get that credited back to you if you got the guide within like a week. They said what they got, like a week. So if you got the guide no longer than a week ago, I credit all the cost of that into the membership of the annual Discord. So no matter what you spend, if you do it within that week, I'll give you the annual membership credited with the amount that you bought on the bundle pack, and you can hop in like that. So you technically get it for free. And then once you're in there, you get a discount on all the other stuff too. So if you want the paperback or the hardcover, you get a discount on that. I say that like 20% off. That's pretty big. Yeah. So I would recommend that way.
Awesome. Okay. And then Laura asked, "Thoughts on consuming social media?"
I definitely wouldn't consume social media, but you can engage in social media. Yeah. Like have fun, play, connect with people, but just to sit there and scroll and consume, like I would say that there's better things to do with your life. Maybe if you need to turn your brain off for like a moment, like 20 minutes or so, okay. And that's a trigger, but try not to consume it too much. Try to either be an applier of it. Maybe you post or something like that, or you're there to connect with, but just straight up consuming it. It's like that leads kind of to nowhere, like doom scrolling.
Cool. So on YT, Nora. Oh yeah, I can totally click on it. Here we go. He asked, "Is Shilajit suggested?"
It's not suggested, but it's okay. It's all right. It's not the main thing, because like a lot of things are marketed to you to buy them. I mean, you can live your entire life and never intake Shilajit and you'll be fine. Like you'll be fine if you never take in Shilajit. But could there be benefits to it? Yeah, of course there's benefits to it. But if you never get Shilajit, like you'll be okay.
Awesome. So my other hand is okay. Jessica asked a serious question. How do you not miss the pure joy of food?
Oh man. So this is from Jessica. Cool. The pure joy of food. Well, I appreciate that question, Jessica. I ate so much, and here's the thing. Before, because here, like, okay, cool. We'll rewind this back to give some context. I definitely tell everyone to eat, especially in my Discord community, and I tell them to enjoy eating. And for the dudes, I tell them, because a lot of guys want to come to me for like retention, right? Like man seed retention and all this other stuff. So I tell them, like, look, before you try to hop on and stop and just cut off you doing this thing, enjoy it. Enjoy it while you have it, because there might be a day to where you no longer do that. So enjoy it, so that way whenever you have gone without it, you don't miss it. So the way that I don't miss things in my life is that when they're there, I'm fully there with it. So whenever I was eating, I was fully eating. Whenever I was spilling my man seed, I was all in it. I was doing my thing. But now that I'm here, I fulfill that so much. There's no desirous memory of it, like, oh my God. Even though like I remember the pleasures of spilling and releasing and then eating and consuming, I still eat. I just don't eat as frequently, but eating every single day, right? So on my eating day, guess what? I enjoy it. But at the same time, by the end of my eating day, I'm kind of done eating. I'm like, well, it's so much. So I make sure that whenever I do something, no matter what it is, if I'm with a girl, if I'm in a city or a country or whatever, I fulfill that thing to the max. I do everything I possibly can, and I make sure that I fulfill the moment that it's in my life, and then you don't miss it.
Ivan was on and he said, looking forward to our next project.
Heck yeah, Ivan, I love you so much, dude. I've done so many podcasts back to back in a row, so I'm getting everything queued up to release and stuff like that. So we'll be releasing some clips from our podcast here recently on the page and everything else. I've actually I released some stuff from it on my Facebook like page, but man, what we went into was so deep. If you guys haven't checked them out already, go check it out. It's on my playlist. So here on Mikey Breeds, I have a playlist of the different podcasts and interviews I've been on. So go and come out. Ivan's one of the most recent, so you guys will like that a lot. Get into how to not suffer anymore, how to have whatever you want, how to see this life and transmute it into blessings, riches, opulence, wealth, and everything else. So definitely make sure to go check that out. Mike Breeze on YouTube, and then go to my interview playlist. And he's I think the most recent one. So yeah. I've had back-to-back lives, interview, podcast, all kinds of stuff here recently. So I've been putting out the energy. It's fun.
Yeah. So Sovereign Renaissance said, I watched some of your old videos, Mikey, and I can definitely say your voice definitely is deeper.
Yo, Sovereign Renaissance, I thank you so much. It can actually go deeper, but I'm in not seeking rapport with you, but I'm so happy right now. But if I was like toned down mode, like, yeah, we could talk like this, and like ultimately my voice has gotten deeper. And by default, I'm 37 years old, and my voice has gotten deeper in the past like 6 months. And that's the time I also grew. So I don't think it got deeper just because I hit masculinity. I think it got deeper because I grew. I think it's because I'm taller. I weigh more now. Like in let's say the beginning, this time last year, I was like 205 pounds. Now I'm rising every day, like 215 pounds. 250. Like where did this weight come from? I'm not necessarily bigger. Like, yeah, my muscles are a little bit bigger, but I'm not necessarily bigger in mass. So where's the weight at? I haven't gained fat or anything like that. So I think everything. So the testosterone question was like, hey, how do I keep high levels of testosterone? Me just observing everything has balanced my testosterone. And I believe from that, I just grew taller. My voice has gotten deeper. My muscles are more dense and everything else. So yeah, go check out my previous interviews, my previous videos, my everything. I've gotten taller. My voice has gotten deeper and everything else.
So Alania from IG asked thoughts on healing your body and regaining function after a clinician performed nerve techs, which led to loss of nerve supply to 3/4 parts of quad and leg, wasting for 8 months with no improvement.
Who's this from?
Alania?
Alania. Okay, I love you so much, Alania. Do you want me to be real with you, or do you want me to like to coddle you? Like, Alania, give me that, and then I'll let you know before I just respond to this. I love you so much, Alania. All right, we're gonna wait for Alania to respond, but until then, we're gonna go ahead and answer another question.
Okay. On YT, we have I never got my offer for the 7-day trial to Discord, but bought the guide, and I also didn't get the offer for credit into the Discord.
So the offer for the credit to the Discord is when you enter the Discord through the free trial. The free trial comes with your purchase after the guide and the email. So a lot of people just don't know, so they don't even check their email. But if you go back to your purchase confirmation email from the guide, you get a follow-up email with that for the 7-day free trial. So just go to your email and check it out. It's there. We love you. Unless you bought like a year ago or like a long time ago, then yeah, maybe. But if you bought like the past month or so, yeah, of course, you got it. And if not, just like let me know your email and your confirmation order. We'll send it right to you.
She said honesty, and it was nerve treatment.
You and I say this in love, right? I have to preface with that because this is not my Discord. In my Discord, they already know I love them. I can say whatever I want, and these people know I'm here for them. But you guys may not know me as well as my Discord family, so I gotta like really preface with this. Like, I'm here for you, and I'm with you. And I could say the nice thing, like, "Oh, girl, you go," and like all this other stuff. But I actually want you to be in the best state ever. So to say that is to be like the most direct as possible, like get to the actual source. You wanted that nerve damage. In a sense, this is not blame, this is not fault, but this is a desire. The desire is here only the fulfillment of this, like every problem is only here to show you what you've been operating in. So there's not a blame or like, oh, it's your fault, you do this. No, but it is a desire manifested because deep down, either you don't believe in yourself, you don't believe that you're strong enough to stand on your own legs, that you don't, because for one, even giving it to a clinical MD, whatever, right? As already you giving your life into somebody else's hand because you didn't go with yourself. I'm not blaming you. This is not guilt. This is not shame at all, but simply the fulfillment of a desire. You only get what you want in reality, especially when you understand that you get the guide, you understand all this stuff. You got that because that's what you believe you deserve. That's what you want. And that's what happened. So I don't think you're too surprised that you have the nerve damage. I don't think you're surprised at all. I think that you're actually like, oh man, I have nerve damage. I knew it. You probably knew. Because even in like, hey, what do I do about the nerve damage? Because when you're spelling it out, you weren't like, oh man, how could they? There was no surprise, but it was most likely like, hey, they did this. How do I fix it? Like, okay, duh, of course they did that. It's not something to fix, but it's something to acknowledge. You have to go deep inside, or this is going to happen again another way. Maybe to the next leg or whatever. Maybe you don't feel supported by yourself. It's never a family issue. It's not an external thing ever, but it's internal. Something in you believe has led to this, and it's a moment to reflect and go back into yourself. Now, are there things to repair your nerves? Of course, yeah. Vitamin A through mineral zinc, take out the toxins, massage the area, make sure that you breathe fresh air. There's a lot of things to like restore it, but again, it's going to happen again unless you really get down to the deep nitty gritty of why this even occurred. So that's the realness of it. I can't go into full detail outside of my Discord community because like I'm not here to treat or prescribe or like diagnose or anything like that, but there is a deeper rooted issue within inside of you that led to the creation of the fulfillment of this, because you only get in reality what you want.
V Matijav said, I also heard that your voice is deep. I know it is a sign of high testosterone. If you grow now, it is amazing. It looks like you're in the best harmony with your body. It is a blessing.
Yo, I'm glad you like my deep voice. I'm gonna stay in this chill mode for the rest of the live, okay? We're not like rapport seeking or like talking like this. Yeah, I can talk like this. Even my higher voice that I talk in is still lower than my low voice I used to talk in a sense. Like I can go pretty low, but what I'm saying is in the past year, dude, my voice has gotten deeper. I'm 37. I hit puberty a long time ago. Okay. Long time ago. Why am I getting taller? Why is my voice getting deeper? I'm not trying. I'm not in the mirror doing vocal exercises. I don't care about alpha males. I don't care about I don't care about masculinity. I don't care about spirituality. My voice has gotten deeper, straight up at 37. So my voice is deeper at 37 than it was at 36. End of story. Usually your voice can get more raspier or whatever, but it's not gonna get deeper. Like it's gotten more full, more voluminous. And like they were saying, it's because I'm connected with myself now. So everything's in alignment. Do I have more testosterone? Well, yeah, most likely because I've grown taller. My manhood has gotten bigger. Like everything in my life has completely changed. My hair is filled back in. I didn't have any hair here in the beginning. This all this like little buzz here. I do a buzz cut. Start to fill back in. Like I have stubble now. My voice has gotten deeper. I've grown taller. I weigh more. My lowest on the guide was like 193, and then my average on the guide was like 203. So once I got to my lowest weight, I gained weight and I was like 203, 204, 205. Now I'm just averaging like 215, 216. Some days like 218. Like, whoa, dude. And I'm like, I'm big, From what? I'm not working out. I'm not taking supplements. I've never been on hormones or steroids or testosterone or any peptides. I've never done any of this stuff. When I was getting into this, there was no such thing as like peptides. Like not that there wasn't such thing as peptides, but like injections or treatments. That's like a new thing. I've been in this field since 2003. So where's this coming from? I think it's coming from embodying and embracing the total alignment of what life actually is. And you guys are seeing it in real time. Wild stuff.
So Theo on YT.
Probably having a backbone too. Having a spine is probably got it to it. Having a spine, dude.
Dang, the spine helped you grow. Yeah. So Theo on YT asked, "Hi, I stutter since age of 6. Any thoughts?"
You stutter since the age of 6. I had to do with Tourette's, and that dude was 58, and by being on the guide, he no longer had Tourette's at all. So if you stutter, the guide has already that if you have an extreme case called Tourette's, it can reverse it. But if you don't get the guide, some things that can help you like immediately is to breathe and meditate and spend some time with yourself, just reflecting yourself, quieting your mind, and then listening to your own voice. You probably stutter because you're afraid to speak your own voice. And once you get the confidence and the love for yourself to trust your own voice and speak from your own voice, you most likely won't stutter anymore. There's other things too. It's like regeneration of the brain and everything else, but that's like a very immediate thing, the most primary thing of why this is happening. All right, a few more and we're going to go.
Okay. Cadmon said, "Sweet, I just looked up the day I got the guide. It was May 9th. So not technically one week, but close. Am I still eligible for the deal you mentioned? And do you mind mentioning it one more time for me?"
Yeah, totally, for sure, man. Because I'm here to help you guys. I'm not here to be like, okay, well, it's the week mark, blah, 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 blah. Sasha's birthday actually was May 8th. So it's like the day after Sasha's birthday. So yeah. Yeah. So whatever you paid for the guide, right? All that amount is credited to a year membership in the Discord. So a year membership in the Discord, it's something. I'm not even sure how much it is. I don't have. It's not even my Discord. It's funny enough. I go in there and I help people and everything else, but it's actually set up. It's for the community. It's the community Discord. So whatever the cost is for that yearly membership, it changes. However much you spent on the guide or the bundle pack or whatever you got will all be accredited to whatever the cost is of the Discord. So like you just pay the remaining and then you get the full year membership. When you're in the Discord, you also get discounts to everything else. I think like 20% off, Sasha said. So if you want to get the physical copy, you can get it for like 20% off, which is the biggest discount I think we have through all the stores and stuff like that. So that's what it is. Glad you found it and everything else. Hop on in and come join. Once you get in, I think that how is that done? So if somebody wants a yearly membership and they got the guide, do they contact first and then y'all give them a special link or something?
So you should have gotten an email right after your purchase that talks about the Discord, and you can join. That's where you can get the free week, and it's already credited. So like that link was specially made for your purchase. So the price that you paid for the guide is going to be credited into the Discord. So you'll pay only, let's say if you got the digital guide, then you get the.
No. I didn't even know that. Hold up. Wait, that's cool. So it's already like adjusted to.
Yeah, there's a link for each person.
Okay.
Product. Yeah.
You guys are awesome. I tell you guys, like I just meditate and chill all day. That is cool. So it's already set up. All right, cool. So for that free week, you hop in, and then from that, it's already accredited to you. So it's already like set up with the amount and everything else. So you can see it. It's going to give you the information before you like make the purchase or whatever, but it's already adjusted for you. That is so cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Find that email.
Yes, the follow-up email after. And if not, you can hit me up on IG. Like, hey, this is me from the live and stuff like that. And what's your name? What's the name? Cadmon. What is up, Cadmon? We just had another person in there named Cad B join, so that's cool. It's like Cadmon and Cad B, the Cad crew. So cool. Instead of Rad, you guys are Cad.
So continuing with some guide questions. On YT, he said, if I buy the paperback guide, does it include all 4 segments, food plan, manifestation guide, and rest?
Sure.
So if you get the paperback guide, you will just get the paperback guide, but you will get the 1 week free for the Discord server. So if you wanted to join for the full year, it will be credited back to you. Inside the Discord server, you do get the manifestation guide and the herbology guide and all the training videos and Mikey's voice notes and his videos and all family gatherings that we do live with our Discord members. So there's a lot of information in there. Feel free to join and check it out.
And here's a cool little trick if you guys want to know. If you get the No, it's really cool. It's really cool. If you get the guide, like the paperback guide, right? You automatically get the week free for the Discord and the discount for the year. But if you have the year Discord, you get the digital guide and the meal plan for free. Mm-hmm. So you get like, that's the best deal. So you get discounted Discord membership from whatever you spent for the physical copy. So you get however much that is off, and you go into the Discord membership. You have a full year now, and you get the guide, the digital copy, and the meal plans for free. So you actually get that so you get a discount off the Discord membership, and you get the guide for free. That's a crazy. That's like a little like combo bundle technically if you want to like hack the system or something like that. That I know about. I didn't know about the other stuff, but that I know about. So whatever you get with whatever guide you get, it's a credit to your Discord membership, and then by default, if you have a full year membership, you get the guide for free and the meal plan for free. Probably the best bet right there.
So Trading Ox said, I'm sick and tired of arguments with my wife and uncontrollably eating. I have muscles and don't look too bad, but I need to lose 20 kg. Also sick and tired of giving time to others and no time for self.
I love you, Trading Ox. It kind of reminds me of Mark a little bit because Mark had a trading company. The other guy had a trading company. I make friends with a lot of traders. Like traders like me for some reason because I think they think outside the box. So I'm not a very orthodox person. So when they see me, they can kind of relate to me because they're a trader, so they have an unorthodox life. So I think I attract a lot of traders. Not that they're traders, like, oh, you trader. This is like they're just like traders, right? They like trade, whatever. For yourself, bro. I say the Discord's going to definitely help you, but I'm going to give you some advice right here, right now. If you're tired of arguing with your wife, man, there's so many things I want to say for this. I'm going to be honest with you, okay? So you didn't even give me permission to be blunt, but I'm going to be blunt with you here right now. Then just shut up and love your wife. Give her a hug. Pick her up. Spin her around. Kiss her on the face. Be affectionate. The arguments are coming out of disgruntlement, which the disgruntlement is just trying to get attention. Okay. I have 2 wives, right? I have more actually than that, but primarily that you guys have seen the 2 that I'm with. All right. You think juggling 1 wife is hard? Think of 2. No, it's actually really easy. How? By just being love. Now, the next question is, you try to giving yourself away for people, who don't give back, blah, 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 all this stuff. I am so harmonious with my wives, my lovers, my partners, because I just give all this energy and I don't expect anything back. To you guys as well. I don't know if people buy the guide. I don't even know. I'm just here. I'm just here because I'm hanging out with you guys. I want to give energy out. And whenever I give energy out so freely and so lovingly and without holding on to or like begrudgingly, like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get a certain energy out, I actually get more energy back. Like with Charles, when Charles came on, I got a bunch of energy from him. I'm like, yo, dude, this guy, like, let's go, bro. So when you aren't, in a sense, begrudging with your energy and you give it freely, you surprisingly enough, you actually get energy in return, and you get good energy, and then people support you and love you and like actually lift you up. And then a lot of that stuff goes away. Now, to lose 20 kgs, right? Man, how do you remember everything I said? I told you about the not forgetfulness, right? I told y'all. That's a concept you made in your own mind. Like, I have to lose 20 kg. That you just made that up in your head. You said that. You have to, says who? Who says you have to lose 20 kg? Because your body's going to put you at the position that you need to be at so you can be at equilibrium or homeostasis within your body. So you might have extra weight because you're so inflamed, because you probably keep going to the gym and taking supplements and all this other stuff. So that extra weight you have is actually critical weight because you're so inflamed and damaged. So the weight that you're trying to lose is actually weight that's keeping you alive and keeping you from going into a critical state. So don't believe the lies that you tell yourself that you have to lose weight. That's the most manipulative thing ever. And it's funny because like when you start living more harmonious and lovingly, you start being so hard on yourself, which makes your relationship better with your wife, the people around you who you give your time to, and then also the relationship that you have with your body, and that extra weight goes away, and you never have to go count calories or burn it off or anything like that. So that's the best advice you will ever receive as far as those subject matters there, because it's the most direct path to success. I don't waste time, no fluff. But yeah, love you, man.
He said, true say.
I'm telling you guys, because he told me everything that he said, like the disgruntlement, like his energy is sharing like that, but that energy clogs you up because you didn't want to freely give. So now he has weight on him. Everything affects everything. When you're stingy or this, I'm not saying that but when you're begrudgingly like, oh, I don't want. Look at me. And I'm not saying like I'm good. I'm not saying, because there's no good or bad. There's just the indicator of the life that we're choosing. If he wanted to divorce his wife or leave or not fix it, that's not bad. Like, yeah, do whatever you want. As long as she's cool with it, she wants to stay, whatever. But everything's here is simply to show us the choices that we've made thus far. Now, with that being stated, when you hold on to your energy, you hold on to weight. And myself, I give energy all day, every day. I have a Discord community. I have multiple lovers. I have you guys. I'm creating more pages in the guide and this and that and everything, right? I have a lot. And because I have a lot, I stay super lean year round. I'm 216 pounds, but it's a lean 216 pounds, So like the life you live reflects how you look. So don't even hold on to that energy, man. Just be like the sun, just give it all. Of course, approach it in love and harmony. But again, like I said, the Discord is going to help you with that, of how to accurately do that in a sustainable manner so you don't get burned out, because you can definitely get burned out just giving your energy away. But there's a way to tap into unlimited energy to where you can give energy away and you actually get energy from giving energy away.
Trading Ox said, thank you, bro.
Love you, man.
Now on YT, we have, how do you keep your energy, bro?
That's a great question. That's a great follow-up question. That is awesome. Yeah, heck yeah. Perfect, right? Because I haven't eaten in 200 and probably like 95 days, 296 days. And I have all this energy. I just did I've been live. There's a timer on here, isn't there? Where's it at?
Right up top.
You guys scroll up.
Oh, there it is.
2 hours and 54 minutes constantly talking and just giving deep, insightful revelations, insightful knowledge, insightful, deep understanding that you get to conjure this stuff. You get to really pull it up, right? And yet my face is crisp and clean and clear and all this other stuff. Like I don't look tired, depleted. I'm just chill right now because we talked about the deep voice. So I'm like, yeah, let's go into chill mode. It makes me feel, because funny enough, the deep voice, the deeper your voice is, the more your body resonates. So when you talk in a deep voice, you actually stimulate your bones and you can generate more stem cells. That's a whole other thing, but like that voice radiance affects the rest of your body, your mood, your state, your hormones, everything. It's awesome. And the high voice too, like the women with high voice would do. So it's not like you have to be in just a deep voice. So even though I'm chill, I have a bunch of energy because, like I was saying earlier in this live, I understand what energy is. I'm getting all the sources of energy. I'm not just living off of food or prana or air, but everything, the conversation and you guys. I make sure to engage in conversations with you that when I answer your questions, I actually get energy back from me. And I'm kind of riding that. Now, it's I can't just live off of that one source of energy forever. Eventually I have to drink something or whatever. But nonetheless, I have more energy than people who, I don't know, take pre-workout or whatever. I'm hype usually, especially, but now I'm in the chill mode. So when you understand everything is energy, you can derive energy from everything. And it's super fun. Makes life so much more fun. All right, a few more questions and I'm gone. We're about to hit that 3-hour mark, baby. You guys have fun today? Do y'all like this? If you like this, make sure to follow the page, whatever you're on, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. You can use Charles's code if you get the guide. What you could do is use Charles's code to get the physical copy, which gives you a free week in the Discord membership for the discounted rate of the physical copy. But you go in and you actually get a discount on the Discord membership. And when you enter the Discord membership for the annual, you get the digital copy for free. So you get like discounts on discounts.
And you get the meal plan.
And you get the meal plan. Mm-hmm. So I think that might be the best way. Or I don't know. I mean, 20% off if you're like in the community. That's pretty, I don't know. You guys do the math. Talk to Trader. He does math all day. All right. A few more. We're going to go.
So Ellen on IG's asked, someone with multiple sclerosis can restore from the cells and myelin and walk again?
Depending on how far you are in on it, like how long has this issue been, consistent in your life, will determine the amount of effort that's needed on your part to revert back to it. But there were people on the guide who had MS and completely like reverted and cleared it completely from their body. So yes, you get that myelin sheath back. You can get that nerve protection. You can restore your body, regenerate, because ultimately your body wants to live. I'm not saying the guide's going to heal you. I'm not giving a diagnosis or promising a cure. But what I am saying is your body wants to live, and your body knows how to regenerate nerve membranes. It made them before. Or her dad. Okay, well, if you're asking for somebody else, that's kind of hard to say because you have to want it. Like I say with the guide, like for these things to work, right? So there's been people who've reversed Tourette's and PM. They renamed PCOS into PMOS. Okay, so like PCOS, PMOS, diverticulitis, diabetes, thyroid issues, all kinds of stuff, right? Growths, cysts, pelvic floors, hemorrhoids. The guide has done wonders for people, but all those people wanted it themselves. They were the ones who approached to get the guide, not for a family member. Because like I shared with the person last about the nerve damage in the legs, she wanted that. She wanted that. So if your dad's experiencing it, whether he knows it or not, whether he's conscious of it or not, he wants that. So he has to come to the point where he's done with this and he's making the choice. And if he approaches it, this will help and radicalize his life, transform him forever. But if you're trying to tell him and everything else, then it may not be as effective because it has to come from him. Will it help? Yeah, I mean, it can enlighten him, but ultimately the desire has to come innately from himself.
So, Ingrosso said, "Looking tight, brother." Powered Pyramids asks, by maintaining your harmonic state, are you restoring and amplifying coherence to your field, empowering yourself as a conscious creator and utilizing the coherent, powerful love for yourself?
Man, there's a lot of coherence in there. Can I coherently understand that? I'm not necessarily powering myself, but I'm drawing energy from everything around me because like I am the middle point of all reality. So I'm the one who consumes to get, right? I'm not here just to be independent or self-sufficient in the manner of where I need nothing, I'm only me, but I'm the middle point of all reality to where I consume everything around me, like the air, the atmosphere, the food, the water, and everything else to power me so I can become more coherent and everything else. And with that, do I love myself? Yeah. Do I become more powerful in my functionality? Yeah, of course, for sure, for sure. Is there a field around me? Yes, there is definitely a field around me. Is that field more potent as I do this? Of course, yes. So in that manner, yes, but I draw from all sources to be able to obtain this type of life, obtain this type of state, and not just obtain, but sustain and then maintain.
Beautiful. Now, Pascal asks, what do you think about doing detox cleanses to help cleanse the body from inflammation and chronic sinusitis? Sinusitis. Yeah.
Sinusitis. Sinusitis. Can you hear that? Hey, Sash, turn the mic up, see if we can hear this. Let's see if it works. We're gonna listen to this real quick. Yeah. Oh, we can. Okay, you can turn it down. Let's do it. I'm going to lubricate it up. Anyway, no detox, man. No detox for sure. Don't detox because it's a compensation. Instead, see where the inception point of this came in and just get at the source. When you get at the source, you don't have to detox. The detox is a compensation, and this leaves you in a more volatile state because you do this extreme thing. If you just take that as a sign of what you've been doing to yourself, you can trace back of how you've been doing it to yourself, and then at the point of acknowledgement, you can stop doing this to yourself so it doesn't happen again. But the detox is a band-aid. You'll go right back into it, especially if you don't know. So the main thing is not to do a detox to try to cleanse it out, but to use these things as a sign to tell you what you've been choosing and stop choosing that. And then your body will naturally get it out itself.
And then Unterbuist Stein said, do you feel your antenna as it is clear gets answer from source to answer to questions you have, or is it just like you go and flow? So are you actively impulse or are you just guided?
Well, everything's an antenna. My nose is an antenna for smell. My ears are antenna for hearing. My eyes are technically antennas, like cones for seeing. So everything's antenna, like my skin and my hair and everything. My pineal gland, my pituitary gland, everything receives a signal. Everything gives a signal, even internally within myself. So everything is an antenna, and I pick up just from everything I possibly can. So I try to use all the senses that I have to pick up everything from my environment and reality that I'm experiencing, which is kind of going back to saying, like, you get all the energy you can to correctly interpret reality. And whenever you have the energy, you can use all your antennae to the fullest maximum potency, like their ability. And then from that, you can get a better, clear interpretation. And am I hearing directly from source? I don't know. Maybe. Has it worked? Yeah, it's working freaking amazing for myself and for the people around me. Again, there was a woman who was postmenopausal for 3 years. So she had already gone through menopause. And just being on the guide for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, she started having her menstrual cycle again. She hasn't had a menstrual cycle in 3 years. She's been postmenopausal for 3 years. And then being on this type of life from the guide, she has now started having her menstrual cycle again. So whatever I'm channeling or picking up is healing, regenerating, restoring, renewing, and raising people up to a higher degree or level. Can I say it's the source? I don't know. Is it working? Yeah, clearly. But it's not one antenna. It's everything. I don't just pick up from like outer signals. I like even in the room. Is it too cold? Is it too hot? Why is it too cold? Why is it too hot? The people around me, the air pressure, the tonality. I'm picking everything up that I can to hopefully, in a sense, interpret everything in the right way. All right. One more question and I'm out.
Beautiful. So V Mataj or Mativa Jav, sorry. Do you know the root cause of mast cell activation syndrome? I have low body weight because of that disease almost my whole life.
Where are you from? Where have you lived the majority of your life, and where is your family from? It's going to help me a lot.
Beautiful. And the standard above said, Mikey, you just said the hardest thing ever. Give without reserve and understand you might not get anything back in return. This is love.
I'm going to tell you guys, like, I love you. I don't go on these lives and expect anything. I don't expect anything from anybody. I don't expect anybody to get the guide or buy the, like, if there were no people who got the guide during this time, okay, I wouldn't. All right, whatever. I'm just approaching to have fun. And whenever you approach life like that, man, it is so fun. It is so much easier. It's cool to stay happy. Like, I'm here because I want to be here. I'm talking to y'all because I want to talk to y'all. I'm not hoping that I said the right thing that maybe they'll buy the guy. I'm just like, no, this is what it is. This is what I've seen so far. So when you live that type of life, just give without reserves and just be like, man, dude, you want a good life? That's the way to do it. At least a way. And man, it's freaking awesome, dude. You think it's awesome being a millionaire? Dude, give without reserve and just be the energy that people feed on that makes them happy. It's like, oh, but do it because you're happy, not because you're trying to feed people. Oh, it's amazing.
Spoken like a true 33-6.
33-6 day.
So he responded and he said, I am from Croatia.
Man, you have such good. Well, Croatia has a sliver, okay? But man, you have such good nutrients that you can glean from, because the mountains that deposit sediments into your land and then and even into the sea, like you've been eating things that aren't real, like breads and pastas and stuff like that, because man, you have such good sediments there. Like, man, that's such a great place to derive nutrients from. You don't get enough sun either. I like you're in the Do you smoke? Do you smoke, and do you avoid the sun? And do you eat things that aren't, man, okay, don't smoke, okay? I don't know if you smoke or not, but like either way, don't smoke for sure. Let me know if you smoke, okay? Um, get more sun, but after you've been eating the things that have grown. So like make sure to eat from now on, eat nothing made of man, eat nothing processed. I don't care who made it, I don't care what baker. Eat the meat, eat the vegetable, eat a variety of it, and eat flowers too, like calendula and hibiscus. Um,
Specified flowers, flowers.
yeah, flowers like that grow, like flowers out of the ground, not the flour that you make for bakeries, but flowers that you pluck from the ground, like dandelion and hibiscus, like I said. You and cardamom and stuff like that. Cardamom's not really a flower, but it's a plant. But either way, um, and you're all that stuff's going to change for you. Like, it's going to restructure your body and your life and your cells and your vitality, and you're going to grow. We had a lot of people in my Discord community who just could not gain weight no matter what. Like, both of them, is funny. I think Patrick was like 120 something, and then Robbie was like 134 or 5, and then both of them have grown over 10 pounds since being on the guide and in the community. Robbie grew 11 pounds, and Robbie's like 46. So he went over 20 years of his life, like from high school on, not being able to gain any weight after high school. And then within a few months by being on the guide, for the first time in his life, he's gained weight, and he gained 11 pounds so far. Patrick, same thing, but Patrick's younger. Patrick's 23. Patrick's always been on the smaller side, couldn't gain weight no matter what. And without working out or protein powders or supplements or anything like that, Patrick has grown 15 pounds from living this harmonic way. So if you do it, yeah, you'll totally be able to grow, get bigger and everything else. But it's not about being bigger, it's about being harmonized, because the result is a response to the life that you're living. And you want to live the highest life. And whenever you do, all this stuff comes by default. So yeah. I love you so much. I think that's it. I don't know if that ever responded. Wait, what is this? Here, read this one here. Actually, pull it up on the screen.
This one?
No, the one below it.
Oh.
No, the one right there, Sasha. Sasha's so quick to do like that one. No, the one below it. She skips 2 and goes that like
Have
what?
you seen this one?
Play that one too. What about the one above it? One. Well, now you're gonna do directly the one above it. No, the one above that from that one.
This one.
Come on, Sasha. I love y'all so much. But yeah, for sure. It's not even about an attraction thing or gender or anything like that. There is just pure bliss energy that can exude from you in life. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, because the comment was like, I'm not gay, but you're beautiful. When you live true life, that stuff doesn't even matter, man. Heterosexuality, homosexuality, it just doesn't even matter, bro. You can call a beautiful thing because it's about the essence that exudes from it. And we all have this inside of us. You have it inside of you. I have it inside of me. But it's about the life that we engage in that allows us to transcend heterosexuality or homosexuality, to where like a man can be beautiful. Almost like how in the Bible, the people found the angels so beautiful that, they want to do stuff like that. You can live in that angelic state. I'm not saying that people just want to do that to you, but you can live in such a state that when people look upon you, they truly see the radiance of heaven on earth. And that's what I'm here to bring in and usher in. I'm here to usher in heaven on earth, ultimately for myself, but I'm going to bring some people in with me as I do it too. So I love you guys so much, and I will see you next time. Thank you for being here. If you haven't already, visit MikeyBreathes.com, and whatever product that you get or whatever we offer that you want to get, you can use Charles's code winning, which is a great, you use code winning. Sasha, what happened to these earlier? I kept saying it out loud, and I'm like, oh, she gonna look? She didn't click on anything, so I'm like, maybe this is a different program or something like that. She told me that she made these little like lower thirds, so whenever we say, hey, use code this, so that way people can see it, and I'm gonna spell it so they can see it, so they know they're spelling the right thing. So I kept saying it. Yeah, use code winning, WINNING, and I look over at Sasha because I'm like, she's not clicking the thing.